spell Grell Chellening. Alright, so we are live, I think. The thing is still black, though, so I can't see it when the lights are off.
You're back.
We're losing one already. He died. He died, he left the room, so he's not alive anymore. Alright, so,
Lights off isn't necessarily bad.
yeah,
Sometimes
right?
you're having a non-photogenic day.
Yeah, right? So, starting to share this on YouTube, or on Twitter. I'm very disorganized. I've had a weird day.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Everything. You could throw.
Oh god, you just opened a can of worms by asking that.
Yeah, I'll just start. This stream will turn from a politics stream where we're discussing like real shit into just me listing all my psychiatric disorders.
No, don't do that.
Well, see.
So is Knuckles.
Knuckles is primitivist. He's literally a tribal guy.
Yeah, and Shadow's an ANCOM.
You can't really be an ANCOM while also working for the military.
Yeah, you could be the CMTFAI.
That's not what the GON is. They're more globalist. Anyway, we will...
This is definitely going to be the stream where we bully Kareem.
So...
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm trying to... Jill Stein's going to win and then be like...
This is the stream where we hold Kareem accountable for voting for Jill Stein.
So, as anybody can see...
Battle with evil.
As anybody who can see who is looking at the Strump right now, we've got 188 for Trump and 99 for Harass. And so I'm assuming that Trump is going to win because I already assumed that, and it'd be nice if I wasn't wrong. But, like, other than my confirmation bias, we'll be streaming for an amount of time that does not exceed 2 years and also does not, exist under the 2-minute mark because it's already been 2 minutes and that would be impossible. So, if y'all want to tune in and watch us have weird schizo conversations with multiple people probably popping in, but I haven't seen anybody come in, so we've got 4 people. We've got Rose, Kareem, JD, and myself. We've got some varying opinions on thongs.
Shut up.
So you like opinions on thongs? If I just start throwing like L's in there, if I start throwing little L's, like if you do that, it sounds like you're chewing your tongue, but I promise I wasn't. So all right, the general vibe of this election season has been a thing. I've got my things that I want to say. It's going to be generally a general discussion, but like
generally,
yeah. Basically, looking at the results.
Yeah, I generally do general discussions too.
Yeah, I do an admiral discussion. I got promoted. I'm in the Navy. I'm like those gays.
Damn, I someday I'll be at that level.
Yeah. So the general. Yeah, like the village people. They're obviously gay, right?
Yeah. Where's Hody? He wanted to do a live stream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
He asked if we could do an election stream.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong along. Actually, I could probably annoy them with a call. Let me see if I could do that.
I already tagged everyone and threatened to bully them.
I've got a.
I guess I'm just not that threatening, so they're not taking me seriously.
I tried to get Kevin Namshock in here.
Oh, fuck no.
What? I like Kevin.
You know, I liked him too. But then he decided to be a huge dick, so...
It's fine. Girls like those.
I mean, not like that. Only in certain contexts.
There's no males in New York anymore.
If it's too big, it, like... breaches the cervix and bruises. That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a such thing.
Yeah, bigger is not necessarily better.
Yeah.
You could choke on it.
Well, yeah, but that also causes bruising. That's how dentists know if you've been doing it.
That'd be an awkward conversation. Man, we have some cavities. Have you been deep?
Sometimes this went from funny to awkward very quickly.
Just as usual. So I annoyed them. I called. I then hung up immediately, calling
Damn,
and
that's cold.
So
hanging.
Sega was inspired by Das Kapital.
Probably not. Especially since the original inspiration for Sonic was unfortunately including Bill Clinton.
Why, are you serious?
Yes.
What? The Tails was like under a desk or something?
No.
Or Amy was. Sally?
None of those existed in the original.
Wait, Sally didn't?
Not
Because
not in the original.
in kindergarten, my best friend always wanted to play Sonic the Hedgehog when we were playing outside at recess, and he'd always make me play Sally.
So in the original, there was Sonic. In Sonic 2, you get Tails. In Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you get Knuckles. In Sonic CD, you get Amy. And then like Sally was a side character in a main character in one of the side franchises of the TV show and the comics, but not an actual playable character. She was like a character in the other universes.
So which one did he end up marrying?
Sally.
Okay.
But anyway, on the politics scale, we are looking at now 198 for Trump versus 99 Harris, and it's 270 to win. So I think I was
I'm sorry.
right.
Wait. What? How many does Trump have?
198.
Yeah, I mean, if he's winning that easily, that was supposed to happen.
Yeah, I keep telling people he's with them. They don't believe me.
Well, okay, but the thing is, okay, here's the thing. Back in 2016, I said the same thing. I'm like, okay, originally I'm like, he's just this obnoxious reality TV personality who's running for president as a publicity stunt. I don't know why these morons are falling for the shit he's saying when he's clearly just doing this as a publicity stunt. Then, like, he actually became the nominee. And I'm like, okay, this whole thing has gone too far, and now I think he actually wants to be president. Then he actually got elected, and I'm like, okay, he clearly was part of the system all along. That's the only explanation, because you can't get into the system if you're not part of it. But, like, the complete and utter meltdown of, like, just about every mainstream establishment, media, and just other, like, mainstream institution kind of made me reconsider. I'm like, maybe that actually wasn't supposed to happen. Now, this guy had zero ability to wield power. He's a complete cuck. So it's not like he actually accomplished anything. But it seems like he was just enough of a wild card that the establishment did not want him. So, anyway, yeah, he did not get reelected in 2020. And now that he's running again and supposedly winning, now that's just making me wonder, like, clearly they either intimidated or reached a deal with him where he actually is part of this establishment.
So my schizo theory is as follows. This is all essentially rigged. And
they're all rigged. I'm just saying the Trump thing was bizarre and out of the ordinary. But anyway, go ahead.
Here's the thing. They need enemies. Like, so a good example of this is Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, ISIL, ISIS, the Taliban. Those are all branch splinter factions from like institutional power that was generated, funded, armed, and trained by Jimmy Carter through Operation Cyclone in assistance with Zbigniew Brzezinski. So with that, they created the basis for their boogeyman. Osama bin Laden, the guy they immediately blamed for 9/11, was funded. His camp in Khost was funded by the U.S. government. He was a CIA asset called Tim Osman, and he was like with them, like hardcore with them. And so then suddenly they had somebody to throw under the bus when convenient, because they like there was never any concrete proof. Like they had some things, they had some statements for sure. They had like his pre 9/11 statement where he jacked off about it, but like let's be super clear that there was no actual material evidence. If something bad happens anywhere in the world and I say I did it, they might say that that's a grounds for me to be investigated, but they certainly wouldn't have any concrete evidence. and it's at the same time, if I did do like say that, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody came knocking on my door trying to ice me, right? But like at the same time, really realistically speaking, the US government has done that. It has propped up its own enemies. The Iran-Contra affair, the like manufactured crack epidemic that sprung forth from that Iran-Contra affair, the gangs that resulted from prohibition giving them all of the excuse that they need to have like RICO shit and a bunch of other organized crime bullshit. The fucking like the fucking French gold that they took in order to do the original revolution, meaning that they were in debt. So, we have to be just like our British overlords and tax the whiskey. Like the whole deal is that they've been, and like just to make, I think it's Godwin's law apply here. I'll just say that they also funded, like armed and trained the Nazis before, during, and after World War II. Not just the U.S. government, but like all these mega corporate branches of everything. Um, and so Prescott Bush is one of those people. It's like his family fortune, the Bush family fortune, was seeded from Nazi shit. The Koch brothers, the Koch family fortune, Fred Koch was a Nazi cunt. And so, like, they build up their own enemies, and then they have enemies to crush. The U.S. government has lied us into every war that they've ever been in. And so, for me, I do this like mental thing of which boogeyman are they making now? And for me, that's what Trump has been. Trump has been this boogeyman. Trump has been like, at first, their excuse to say, see, this is what happens when somebody who doesn't respect decorum gets in the White House, and they got to like flex their cocks about the sacred halls of power. And then after they did that for a significant period of time, they like had this lull period where not only could he be out of power and have that like tantrum with his followers like going and fucking crying at the Capitol, but also
farting on somebody's desk, and that was like this huge thing that caused war criminals to start hiding under their desks.
So that sort of thing, like the lull. First off, it meant that they got very easily what they wanted. Like they could for years like coast on the January 6th being the 1911,000 Pearl Harbor, like the worst thing that's ever happened. They killed Jesus again that day, and so like they got to coast on that. They got to put people on watch lists. They got to enhance their security protections. They got to put cameras and fences up around every major political building. They got to have high security. They got to increase their lockdown measures even more because they now had even more authorization to put AI cameras everywhere and like shot spotters and whatever else because crime. And they like also had the active fence, the AI active fence from World Economic Forum, which is stopping certain information before it even hits certain social media. And it's like all of this stuff to me just means that they had 4 years to really build up their security infrastructure, and now they can put their boogeyman back in so that he can do a bunch of boogeyman shit and also get away with a lot of the corrupt shit that they've been wanting to push through anyway. And then after all of that, they get not only what they wanted, but a populace cowed into submission. So,
well, Jordan Maxwell kind of made the whole thing of like, if you go to work,
Colorado called for Harris.
Huh?
Sorry, continue. Colorado called for Harris. Continue.
Oh yeah, that's not surprising. I think Denver controls most of the state.
Yeah,
but
they have a wild airport.
They do.
They took the murals down.
Yeah, but like they're still there. I think they didn't even take them down. I think they just put walls in front of them. I think they just put shit on them.
Oh, those weird murals that like the conspiracy theorists are always raving about.
Hey, it's me. Yes. I don't like that
Wait,
place.
Wait, are you one of those people who thinks that there are phallic symbols all over the wall meant to turn us into Satanists or something to that effect?
No. In fact, it's my conspiracy is a lot more unhinged. I think that
well, if it doesn't involve phallic symbols, I'm not interested.
I think that the symbols are symbols of death, rebirth, and like mass disease, pestilence, that sort of thing. And like when you have these symbols, when you have those sorts of like the things on this mural, and when it seems to be following a story with certain, occult symbology involved, we have a certain amount of like precedent with this symbology. And what it seems to be indicating is that the world will be united after a mass death event. We've got this guy with a saber and a gas mask, and after his saber clears the way, we suddenly have this world that's like in harmony. Now, that's insane, right? And there's like people in glass boxes. There's also like a glass cube. Like a lot of this symbolism is very clear to me. And then you've got gargoyles that talk to mock people about all of this.
Arizona's leaning red.
You've got a pale horse on the runway with glowing red eyes. You've got like Mason symbolism over like mine carts and also tunnels that are verifiably built under this thing. And so for me, my unhinged conspiracy theory is that its positioning in the country and also all of the things that this is seem to indicate to me that it's part of a tunnel system to probably bunkers so that the elites can hide there when they need to get escape their pestilence, their disease, their
Yeah,
nuclear
I was gonna
Armageddon.
say, why an airport? But I guess that's just as good a place as any to have your tunnels and bunkers.
Yeah, like it's that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
'Cause
tunnels.
you can easily fly your elites in, and then you immediately hustle them down into the bunkers. Yeah,
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
and the pale horse is a biblical symbol for apocalypse.
Hmm.
So I don't see any reason to believe that the Denver International Airport is just some innocent art exhibit. Fuck that. And if it were, then they wouldn't have felt the need to mock people for it by installing a talking gargoyle to mock visitors who had anything to say about it a while back. And
I mean, that's something I would do if I were running the airport, just because it's funny. So
well, I think
I would deliberately fuck with them too. So you know,
I think people got too close to the truth, and I think that that they needed to cover up their murals because it was inconvenient to them for people to know what they were kind of planning. So
all right, Ted Cruz just got projected to win his seat.
God, that guy. But Jordan Maxwell makes the point of like, if you go to work and there's a poll like, what would you like to see? Who would you like to see enact this policy? They're not going to change the policy. They're just giving you a meaningless poll to say, here's our agenda. What would you like to see? Who would you like to see carry it out? So to me, the elites have agenda. They really, like Larry Fink, the people who really run the show are like, you know, the CEOs of Raytheon, the shareholders. Hey, so-and-so won. Okay, great. Like, do you care? No, not really.
because
Like,
neither of
not-
them are Chase Oliver.
If they were Chase, they'd actually be like, wait, what the fuck happened?
Mhm.
Like, oh, we have to do, or Jill or anybody. I honestly think if a third-party candidate win, then they'd lose their mind. But they know who the two control candidates are, so it's fine. You know, as long as they get kind of what they want, it's all good. Now, I will say, in terms of just trying to rock the boat here, I don't think this matters for a couple other reasons. And
I thought you said rock the vote there for a second. I was like, fuck you.
yeah, rock the vote.
Yeah,
Woo!
no. Okay, so rock the
okay,
boat
a
instead.
third-party candidate would never actually win though, because that would not be allowed to happen. But
I
continue
don't think a
on.
third-party candidate will ever win, but here's what I do think.
It wouldn't ever be allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Yes, fair enough.
It was
Here's
supposed to
what I
be
do
flipped
think.
before they were reported. Anyway, go ahead.
I got on good authority that Ron Paul King, the Libertarian Party, you were there and said the empire has ended. Not that it will end. Noam Chomsky said the same thing. Noam's usually correct. And
Is he? I thought he was old and making a lot of stupid comments. Like Trump
He's-
is a peace candidate.
he's made some dumb comments, but if you don't take those, I believe in
Yeah,
the
if you don't take the things that he's wrong about, he's fucking right all the time. Go ahead,
I
sorry.
didn't say that. But nobody's right all the time. But there's this thing you can do called there's remote viewing if you really like play around with like weird esoteric stuff and pull up theta meditation.
It's looking like the Republicans are going to win the Senate.
Okay. But if you do
Who won New York? New York Senator.
I don't know.
Was it Gillibrand again?
Cruz just won Texas. I don't know what's going on in New York.
Okay, I figured Gillibrand, but
Tex ass.
I didn't actually check. Last time I checked the results.
New pork.
New pork.
I just start making sex jokes the rest of the stream. Yeah.
I guess the point I wanted to make is remote viewers have said in the near future, if you count that as legitimate or not, the United States will not exist and we will have a Soviet style collapse.
So,
and I do.
What's the near future? Do they have a date?
No, because remote viewing doesn't give you a date.
Okay.
You just kind of look into quantum space.
So here's the fun thing about a claim like that is that it's a 50-50 binary. The U.S. is either on or it's off. And so them making the prediction that the U.S. will be off, yes, it will someday. That's what happens to everything. Everything dies. We will all die. We will all fade to nothingness. So
right.
Like
empires last usually 200 years or so.
Yes.
So I mean, you can say the empire is going to collapse and it's going to happen.
Yeah, and if they don't
it's
give
like
us
saying
a date,
you're going to die.
Here's
okay?
the thing.
Inevitably, you will.
But okay, so remote viewing is a practice, obviously popularized by Dr. Robert Monroe at the Monroe Institute. And basically, all you do is you go into a state of expanded awareness where you transcend space and time. Space and time are dimensions like X, Y, and Z, like we did in geometry. So, to me, how you can predict the near future is you can kind of see what's in this timeline. Like, okay, the near future, maybe you'd have more advancements in technology or less. When Nostradamus was doing this, he was looking so far into the future, it was hard to predict. But the near future, if you take a look at a remote viewing thing and it looks fairly similar, and you're not seeing tons and tons, like there's no blockbusters around there, if you can probably predict that not much time has lapsed from now until then.
Yeah. So. Just real quick, Hody, I see you in the chat there. Feel free to pop in.
Yeah.
We won't let you here.
Preston? What if Keith Preston wins?
He didn't run. So the general thing is like I'm not opposed diametrically to the concept that like time the visibility of time is somehow not as like rigid and structural as we like are traditionally want to believe it is, especially since quantum gravity research seems to indicate that the past, present, and future are concurring like forces that are happening at the same time basically and all inter-affecting each other. But that doesn't actually matter to me in terms of remote viewing, because the question is, how can you like know that what you're seeing is a verifiable thing, future, rather than just you having an interesting dream or something like that. It doesn't make any sense to me to come to that conclusion and say that that's verifiably what's happening, and it certainly isn't encouraging to me, because soon is like, we were told we were going to have like giant roadways of entirely flying cars because people were Jetsons moded, and they acted like, the very like close future, the very proximal future was going to be some fucking paradise of scientific innovation where everything operated fucking awesome jizz-tastically, and it didn't end up happening. Like, so many of these sci-fi things, these movies, whatever, that said like a certain thing is going to be in a certain way at a certain time, didn't. And we've watched a bunch of people like fan post about their favorite like dystopia or their favorite movie about the future, and like it's now that year, and like Skynet became active. That's actually potentially real. But like the point is that like all of these things that were supposed to be at a year have now not been at what they were supposed to be. So it's like I'm not going to take somebody's prediction super seriously. when it's not giving me a concrete thing, because they could just throw a dart at the future
Right.
and then eventually maybe hit what they were aiming at and be like, "See, I predicted that." Yeah, but so did everybody else. They just, didn't say that it was
All
going to
right,
be
so
tomorrow.
let me make my
Well,
case.
Sam,
Now, forget
I
the
bet
remote
there
meter.
are a lot of very disappointed suburban liberal women, disappointed that they don't have the Handmaid's Tale yet,
Yeah.
because they keep cosplaying as it. So
But here's the biggest thing. Here's the question nobody can answer. I asked this in Democrat spaces. Not that it really was in a lot of them, but I was in like one or two.
that's a suspiciously specific denial, Kareem.
I'm not in Democrat spaces, I promise.
I mean, I've jumped in probably a million X spaces just because they're popping
Okay,
up.
first you support Jill Stein, who turns out to be an Israeli shill.
No, she's
Now
not.
you're,
She's
now you're
battling evil.
giving us suspiciously specific denials about being in Democrat. Kareem,
And I was in
you
I
have
was in
something to
Trump
confess to
spaces
us on
too,
stream.
and libertarian spaces. No one can answer. How do you pay the interest on the debt? Everyone's like, I don't know. Why are you being so negative? Why you got?
You just destroy the U.S. monetary system. There you go.
Yeah, and
It's all
yeah,
fake, and you start
Yeah.
using actual currency. You build up your counter economy, and you start using hard currency, like actual money.
that will work for individuals, but like if they can't pay the interest on the debt and they destroy the monetary system,
Yeah, the whole thing will come crashing down. It's going to really suck for most people because
because
the elites
nobody's
will be
answered that.
fine, but it's going
Nobody-
to really suck for most people. That's why we need to start building up our counter economy and our mutual aid network so that we have protection against it. Because this entire monetary system is going to come crashing down eventually.
Yeah, because nobody will answer that question, and no matter.
Because there's no answer to it. You fucking can't. You can't pay.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of the thing I want, but nobody will.
It's never gonna happen. It's impossible.
People just lose their shit. They're like, "Oh, Kareem, you're just being net." That's all I got from every status. Kareem, you're just being negative. Oh, that doesn't matter. We got a plan. I'm like, okay, what's the plan to pay the interest on the debt?
But yeah, but
Nebraska's really close for some reason.
what?
So that's the
What
problem.
was
Nebraska's
it?
really close for some reason.
Nebraska?
Although only like but only 49% of the votes have been cast. So yeah, I think that's safe red.
So
But it's like
my
really
issue.
close for some reason.
That's my issue. If someone can answer that,
but
great, but no one can.
But here's the thing: they don't need to pay back the debt, especially if they can.
They do.
They don't need to pay back the debt, especially if they consistently, globally network with a bunch of other people who also have debt to the U.S. The fact that the world is on a global debt trading market is the reason that so many countries aren't insolvent, and so many countries are committed to keeping up the fucking charade. That's the reason. That's the reason that the IMF and World Bank are such debt cucks. They really, really want That's the reason that they're working with Argentina right now and Javier Milei, because.
Correct, but
they want to control those countries, so they put them in debt. And so once you have debt, you have leverage markets. You have the ability to leverage your position, and you have the ability to put people on your personal program. And so the debt market is essential to the modern control apparatus and unlikely to sway. The question is whether or not people are willing to stick with that program. And I think that they are. And I think that they are because they have been, and because it's ballooned their empires to massive sizes and given them gigantic wallets and massive amounts of assets. They're not going to shut off the gravy train if they can at all avoid it. They will burn this planet down before burning their empires.
I'm not saying they're going to shut down the gravy train. I am saying what is most likely going to happen. What I think is the elites said, and you can call it the elites is a broad term, but
I don't like broads.
North Carolina's looking pretty red.
Central bankers will probably say, "Hey, it's been fun playing with the U.S. empire. I got a new toy now, and the new toy is called BRICS. So let's build up BRICS. Let's crash this one, and let's move on to the next."
The reason BRICS can function is because of the West, though. That's the thing that BRICS doesn't like to admit, because China is an export market. They're not an import market, and they're not a resource market either. They're an export market. And they pretty much always will be, because that's the way they've set up their economies. And in order to change from an export to an import market, they would have to heavily liberalize everything and fundamentally overhaul the way everything works. That's not likely to happen. They've already set up their like, central monitoring services, their social credit systems. They've already set up massively oppressive structures to maintain what they have now. They are a very sophisticated state capitalist institution that already works with the global bankers, etc. So I don't think the global bankers have a new toy. I think they've had that toy since the open door policy.
Goldman Sachs came up with the concept with BRICS. So to me, it was actually came from a Western institution. And I think they see that as the alternative for when the U.S. empire collapses and empires only last 250 years.
Or it's not an alternative because, much like anything, much like Larry Fink does with BlackRock assets, they're broadening their portfolio. They don't need to have one or the other. It's not a you're presenting a false dichotomy.
I'm not necessarily saying they need one or the other. They can have whatever they want. And I think they've been using the U.S. empire as a way to garner, obviously, influence. They've been using it as a way to take resources, but empires will fall. Empires don't last that long anyway. They only last 250 years. I think this one's time has come.
But China's lasted longer. So that doesn't make your
It's
argument.
gone through different phases, though.
So is the U.S.
Would you consider China an empire, though? I mean,
yes. What? What? Why?
It's
what?
a really long-running civilization, but there have been different versions of it, for lack of a better term.
So
they're an empire. They've been spreading, and they want to seize Taiwan. What the fuck are you talking about?
Currently, yeah. No, the current Chinese state, yes.
Yeah, they're
yes,
imperial. They're all imperial. The state is inherently imperial. States that aren't.
I mean, that's hilarious because I love the way the pro-China tankies will insist that China's anti-imperialist.
They fought the industrialists, by enslaving the workers. Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not good. This is the thing. I don't do this revisionist bullshit. The Chinese government is equally responsible for an equal amount of shit fuckery as the other shits. It's not like it's not been part of the global shit fucker paradigm. It's been there. They didn't put down their old toy and now they're like, ooh, China, ooh, Russia. Those people have been involved. They done been in that shit. Cody, how you?
Doing great. I'm might be off and on a little bit, communicating with getting dinner organized and everything for the family, but yeah, I'm pretty good. The election map is as exciting as was advertised, so this is fun.
Yeah,
I feel like it's not as exciting as last time. I don't know.
Remember how Trump was going to win for
no, I
most
mean
of
last
the
time.
night?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they got
last
to the
time,
big cities and the mail-ins.
Last night, in the middle of the night, while everybody was sleeping, Georgia flipped, Wisconsin flipped, and Pennsylvania flipped, and Michigan flipped.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
That's probably if Harris wins. If Harris wins, that's what's going to happen.
Have sudden massive ballot drops in the middle of the night. It's not going to be exciting.
Come on, man.
If Harris wins, that's what's going to happen again.
What if Stein
she
wins?
might win Nevada.
Yeah, Kareem. There's going to be giant vote drops for Stein in the middle of the night.
Yeah, from Israel, because she's shelling now.
I mean, yeah, you suck Netanyahu's cock enough. I guess that is a possibility.
But here's the thing. If Trump does win, and people are wondering, how did that happen? It's not because he had some massive upswell of grassroots support. It's because he had enough astroturfing and enough people willing to back him despite the fact that he's against everything they stood for.
Well, that and also Kamala Harris run an absolute.
But man, he has
Apple
Elon.
campaign. and
has your
gave
voice.
nobody anything to vote for.
Right, and like no platform stated on her website. That would have been an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Instead, she just
I
gave
mean-
him, here, choke on my joy.
I kind
My-
of want to see if like he actually frees Ross,
Yeah, but I won't
because
care
he
if he
had that.
does.
He had the opportunity multiple times last time he was in office.
Mm.
Like I think the pardon papers were sitting on his desk at one point, and he decided not to.
I wouldn't care if he did, because he's still
Right.
going to make like 800,000 more Rosses.
Yeah. Ross
Okay.
is one guy.
Yeah.
I don't really care, honestly.
Or kill them.
I mean, okay, like if they're both the same and one of them frees Ross and one of them doesn't, fine, because they're both going to be equally bad. But yes, it would be nice if we could get assurances that like they'd pardon like all nonviolent drug offenders, or at least like take measures to prevent the further imprisonment of nonviolent drug offenders.
At least Kamala has like talked about legalizing weed.
Yeah, federally.
So
Mhm.
Trump hasn't done that because he has the whites in his like place, and he doesn't
He's
want to.
he's
Like,
got the
scare 'em away.
evangelicals.
White.
He's got the
Yeah.
weird groiper types.
At this
Yeah.
point, like,
Hey, actually, no, he doesn't. Nick doesn't like
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Nick doesn't like him, but Nick goes back and forth all the time. Also,
Yeah.
he's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you think
Nick's
that
a
they
great
hate him
warrior.
because of what an Israel shill he is, but yeah.
See, that's my deal. Like, this whole thing has been fake for a long time. And so, for me to, like, suddenly grant credence, probably not.
What about granting Creed? With arms wide open.
No.
Nope.
I haven't liked Creed since I was 8.
Wait.
Creature.
You liked Creed at one point? Because since I was 8 implies that you did like them once.
When I had really terrible taste, yeah. When I thought the Backstreet Boys were good.
Yeah.
oh,
I never-
now,
Ba, ba, ba.
I'm
I
6
went through a
feet
phase where I
from
liked
the edge,
NSYNC,
and
but I
I'm
never liked
thinking
Creed.
Mm.
Basically,
maybe 6 feet.
Hody's
Ain't
just sort of
so
like, I
far
like Creed,
down.
actually.
Yeah, that song made me violently angry when I heard it.
But yeah, like,
Why? It's so good.
well, okay, here's a breakout session then.
I just lost all respect for you, Hody.
Yeah, here's a breakout session. Hody, we're gonna have a temporary a breakout debate. I'm gonna need a 45-second opening statement from you about
What?
why Creed is good.
okay, whatever, guys.
I would strongly lean towards this being just an opinion, and I have fun listening to their music. That's it.
40
I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, Rose, 45 seconds as to why they're bad.
I don't know if I have 45 seconds worth. I will just say they suck, and their singer's voice is annoying, and his face annoys me, and they suck.
All right, so the first question I have for you, Hody, is like, generally speaking, when people,
Looks like Trump is called for Georgia,
not surprised.
so that's kind of important. But anyway, go back to your.
Because this is an election stream. Technically, we're just also dicking around when the
we're
numbers
talking
come
about
in.
what?
But
I don't
so
know, right?
yes, I'm giant and throbbing right now. So the first question I have for you is, people's general complaint about music like Nickelback and Creed is that they are overproduced and corporate, and all their music basically
Yes.
sounds the same. What do you have to say about
Yeah.
that?
There are a lot of heavy metal bands whose music sounds very similar to some people. There's a lot of country bands whose music all sounds the same to some people. To those who appreciate them, we can tell the difference between the drums, the rhythms, to those who understand, like, rotating keys. I mean, there's some bands who are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame who essentially never left 4 chords, and that's all of their music. And you know what? How you mix up those 4 chords matters, and it changes things. And if that doesn't make things different enough to you, then you know what? Like, I'm not going to force you to appreciate something, but you can't hate me for appreciating it.
So you have 1 minute to rebut to that, Rose.
I'm just gonna say that Jeremiah is not fit to be hosting this debate because he listens to Five Finger Death Punch. That is all I have to say on the matter.
Yeah, what the
So-
heck, man?
so-
Got him.
In a
How you
similar,
fighting the
in-
globalists?
in a
You
similar,
like that shit?
in a similar vein to
Got
the
'em.
previous question, I'll also ask you on this will be your question, Rose. You've been known to say that any song that is over 3 minutes is not is not something that you're
Correct.
going to entertain. So, with that standard of basically pop aesthetic, how are you there to judge a band like Creed on being overproduced and hyper-popularized?
I'm going to say that bigger is not better, and that 3 minutes is too long for most songs. Okay, if you can't get your message across in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, it's not worth listening to.
Okay, but Creed often did exactly that, and you seem to be opposed to them anyway.
Their songs go on for like 5 minutes.
I don't
Or
think
maybe it just feels that way because their songs suck and their singer's like face is annoying.
so.
Like in all of his videos, he's like trying to look like Jesus.
So you've got a 1 minute
And be all
rebuttal.
profound and stuff. It's like, get over yourself, asshole.
You got 1 minute rebuttal, Odie.
I judge musical talent by music and not by the looks or even political views of the artists. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be able to listen to about any music at all.
That is generally fair, but
I-
I'm making an exception this time.
I understand that at some point the artist can become so reprehensible that we can't enjoy their music no matter how good it is. I don't know what the lead singer of Creed has done, but considering that we have a lot of popular bands that have sexual assaults, felonies, felony assaults, larceny, just a lot of bad things that a lot of these artists tend to do. So I don't know if the lead singer of Creed has done something that is that reprehensible, and that would just be a knowledge issue on my part that perhaps he could fill in. But I
don't think he's done anything other than produce terrible music, but that's enough in my book.
So then, in that vein, in that respect, we'll just temporarily quick fire sessions, 30-second answers. Is there a band that you would say that you would not listen to, Hody?
Is there a band that I won't listen to?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I have 30 seconds to think about this. Let me see here. Like, I'm trying to think of somebody so reprehensible that I just can't possibly listen to them and enjoy it.
Who's the guy who sang that stupid Proud to be an American song?
Oh, I actually like that song.
Oh. Oh,
Sorry,
geez.
it's just as a
Uh-oh.
musical, from a musical standpoint, it's a good song. You know what? Then I'll answer the question and say no. I can't think of anybody that I just won't listen to. I haven't been that turned off by anybody.
So, just to establish for the record, you are turned on by Creed.
Very much so, but only in a musical sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for Rose, your 30 seconds is why are your music tastes so narrow, and what do you seek to gain by narrowing the field of what you could enjoy?
See, if it's not fast-paced and exciting, it's not worth listening to, okay? Life is short, and why spend it listening to music that's boring and stupid?
So you don't
Yeah.
like anything slow at all. You are opposed to things like, for instance, jazz and blues.
Okay, that's actually a tough one because I used to play in jazz band when I was in like middle school. I guess it was fun when you were playing it, but otherwise no, not really. Otherwise it's boring.
Rose likes to do bumps and then do Dragon Force.
Well, no, because Dragon Force, all their songs are over 3 minutes. So she doesn't like Dragon Force. She doesn't like the vast majority of metal, a huge amount of punk, including
It's true,
Refused.
yeah. I find metal boring.
So
She likes Burzum.
What?
You like Burzum.
We'd just be glad that like music appeals
Black
to
metal.
everybody and not just Rose.
he's
Like,
yeah
that
yeah
would be
yeah.
super sad.
He's calling you a Nazi, Rose.
No, I mean, there's a lot of music I don't
No,
like.
no, no, no,
And
no.
I'm sure,
Am
and
I
I'm
one of
glad
those
it's there.
Nazi
Cur-
punks, I guess.
Kareem was
Fuck,
calling.
there was a song. There was a
No,
song
they're
made
not
about my
Nazis.
type specifically.
Rose likes black metal. Black metal isn't Nazis.
Burzum is a Nazi.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not good.
Did you not know that?
Not really.
Why? It's like one of the
Oh,
things he's most famous for.
I just listened to a couple albums. I
Okay.
don't like. Okay, fine. Pick another one. Rose likes Demi Borgir. She's like, You're gonna burn in hell. Down on me.
That just sounds like an STD.
So we're getting word that Michigan just flipped over.
To what?
Flipped red?
Saw it
I mean-
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to do that from time to time.
Yeah. Don't want to starfish.
Yeah.
So
It's
What
only
is
24% in Michigan,
Patrick?
but yeah.
no, that's not what I was saying. You should talk to more women. So
Ouch.
Oh my
the
God.
general
Yeah, talk to Rose. Leatherman.
the general well yeah, but that there'd be your problem there. There's a man right there. So
Yeah, see, yeah, never base your opinions of women on me because, yeah, just don't.
so
I'm the last person you should be getting advice from.
Whoa.
back on the subject of the erection, it is 112 Harris and 198 Trump now. And this is sort of to be 204 Trump. So it's to be expected that in the initial like calculus, it's going to be massive sweep red because the southern states are really more like the southeast states that like Arizona and New Mexico don't really qualify in that like, bracket, proverbially speaking. And so like when you talk like southern, you're not talking like typically anyway. You're not talking like where I come from, which is Southern California. It's still in that like
update on your phone.
I'm going to mute that. One moment.
Oh no. Here.
So like you're still in like the latitude, right? You're still like south of a certain line, but you're not like southerner. And the South is going to be overwhelmingly Republican. It's going to be overwhelmingly right wing. So when it's sweeping from east to west based on time zones, it's eventually going to get like bluer because it starts out with the southern states and like the Midwest Rust Belt kind of thing, and then it just immediately hits them liberals. And so with all that,
California hasn't been called yet, even though it's absolutely going for Harris.
yeah, if there's
What hasn't?
California.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When was the last time I think California went red during the Reagan landslide and then never again?
Yeah, basically.
I don't know if I think Bush won California,
Really? Let me check.
the first one.
Yeah, no, California. used
Oh,
to be-
you mean Bush Senior? Yeah, he did.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he was like
Yeah,
immediately
Trump's
after
gonna win
Reagan.
California.
Because
Ever
Bush.
since Clinton, California's been Democrat.
Yeah.
Oh, and just to be clear, to address the earlier controversy, the reason the Sonic franchise did like the Bill Clinton thing was because Japanese people had a very like selectively imported idea of American culture, and so they thought Bill Clinton just had this like swagger and coolness because that's what the media was portraying him as, and they didn't know about all the war crimes. So they distanced themselves from that part of the origin relatively quickly, let's just say. But yeah, so we're at 210 for Trump at this point. We've jumped from 206 to 210 while I talked about the hedgehog. So,
Who still needs to be called, though?
Mom, everybody go call your mother. You need to be there for your
Right,
family.
She's probably crying because they were unironic Harris supporters. So.
Well, we've got so in terms of the thing, we've got
So Trump win now.
what?
Pretty much?
Trump is very much ahead. It's going to come down to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
It's gonna come
Looking like
down to them.
So, I mean, as somebody who used to work in the GOP, I can read these things pretty well.
You're literate? That
I
makes
know,
one of us.
Well, I left the GOP. They kicked me out actually because I became literate. So,
Yeah.
like that was kind of the
You done
nature of
read
that.
too good.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
doing them read it. That reminds me of that Bill Hicks thing. We got a Rita.
We got a read on our hands.
Yep.
You reading
You know-
that Bible, boy? You ain't
So-
supposed to read. You just support Israel and hate the gays.
Basically.
That's-
Hey, we
That
don't
sounds
hate
like
the
better.
gays anymore. We just hate them trans. They're gonna
Yeah.
trans the kids.
They're
That's
just
verbal.
throwing
being
the American
gay is not
family.
exciting anymore.
Trump is
Can't be
further
just
left than
gay.
Chase on the trans issue, by the way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's Anyway, so the deal is it looks the ones to watch right now are North Carolina and Georgia because those are going to be finished before any of the rest of the battlegrounds. If Trump takes both of them, the only way that Harris can win, and she can win, but she would have to take Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. It would make the Nevada and Arizona those votes wouldn't matter anymore, like as far as her victory. So this actually could be a pretty early night because Georgia and North Carolina, I imagine within the hour, are probably going to get called for Trump.
Georgia's already been called.
And well, I'm looking at the AP over here. It depends on who you're looking at, but like I'm imagining those are going to get called for Trump soon, and Pennsylvania isn't. It's not shaping up for Harris. Biden did pull a comeback last time, and as always, because of the mail-ins and everything, that you usually see a late break from the left and the big cities come in and everything. However, with what I'm looking at on the map here, it's not going to be enough of a swing. So this actually could be a rather early night, which is what a lot of people want.
Well,
anyway, that's it.
A lot of people don't want an early night though, and that's how you get starfishing. So the general.
Hey, all these votes came in. Flip.
So
I mean that's what happened last time. We all thought Trump had won, and then we went to bed, and then we woke up and suddenly wait, what happened? All these states
we got
especially these ones that are historically never blue. And what about those 3 bellwether states that
also real quick
never are won, and then the guy loses? Weird shit.
Do you guys believe the election was stolen last time?
Well, look, they're all rigged. They're all rigged. Normally, this is done at the primary level, though. So, by the time you get to election night, the 2 candidates do genuinely want to win against each other. However, they're both Wall Street backed war criminals, so it doesn't actually matter who wins. The Trump thing was a bit out of the ordinary, in my opinion. I think in 2016. I think the Clinton Foundation, Trump ran as a publicity stunt. The whole thing went too far, and he somehow ended up as the nominee. There is reason to believe that the Clinton Foundation wanted him to be the nominee because they knew that she was unpopular enough she could not defeat a establishment Republican. I don't believe that Trump was actually supposed to win. I originally did. I'm like, okay, clearly he is just a member of the establishment like anyone else. But the absolute meltdown from the establishment made me reconsider that view.
That
Also,
could
Harris,
be performative, though.
I'm sorry, Clinton ran an absolutely dog shit campaign too. It didn't even campaign in Wisconsin.
JD, that sounds like you're not Pokemon going to the polls.
That was fucking embarrassing.
So real quick, before we get too far ahead of anything.
So I was going to say, I think that it was just I was going to say they're all rigged. I think that last time was particularly blatant. Okay,
no, I've seen the debunked stuff from
Instagram,
but
in the lead, then you have a handful of key swing states suddenly shut down their voting in the middle of the night, and I'm sorry, could it get any more blatant?
Biden's the most popular president in all of American history.
Yeah, clearly Trump did not suck off the right people last time, and he was not allowed to win a second time. If he's going to win this easily this time, clearly that issue has been resolved, and he's allowed to win this time.
Okay, so you do believe the 2020 election was stolen?
They're all stolen. That one was just particularly blatant, and it was done on election night as opposed to at the primary level, which made it more obvious.
The only evidence I've seen has been thoroughly debunked. As far as what came up in court, what came up in...
I'm sorry. You don't think it's a little suspicious when a handful of key swing states shut down their counting in the middle of the night, and then you get massive vote dumps? Come on, dude.
Come on.
You don't have to be a Trump supporter to see what's right in front of you.
No, that's not going to happen.
Well, what we'll do...
the Trump supporters were the ones saying stop the count, right? Yeah. That was the famous chant, stop the count.
So what I'll do, since I think this would be an interesting subject.
Oh boy, I'm gonna wake up early and.
Is it safe to say this on YouTube now? Because I know, for a while,
I don't think it is.
No, you said this.
We're gonna get banned.
So
I don't know.
We're not gonna get banned. It's fine. I think a debate on this would be a good idea. I'll moderate a debate between Hody and Rose, and they can both make their case.
Oh God, but everyone's gonna think I'm a fucking Trump supporter if I do that.
Okay. I don't.
Like,
It's fine. I mean, I think
remember
this is
having
useful because there are a lot of
conversation- I
people
had
in the
this
libertarian
conversation
movement
with
that
my,
believe that the
Bernie
election
Bro
was rigged.
coworker
Yeah.
once, and he's like, "Wait, are you a Trump supporter?" I'm like, "No, fuck that. I don't give a shit if he wins. I'm just saying, you don't have to be a Trump supporter to see what's going on here. He's just too much of a bitch boy to do anything about it," which turned out to be the case. Like, what did he do exactly? He just sat there bitching about it until he got removed from office.
So the thing is, I think that this is something that should be delved into. I really do, because like it's something that like a lot of people, have hung their hat on, either being for or against this concept. And I think that like if we actually had like a full-on discussion about it, we could like drill down on the actual details that make people believe one way or the other. So that's my bias. I think that I think that an actual debate between the two of you would be good.
What? The elections being rigged?
Yeah, you could
I
bring
mean,
like
we're anarchists, so I think we're gonna ultimately agree that the whole system's rigged.
potentially, but like either way, we could drill down on the issues of whether or not this was rigged in favor of Biden or Trump or whatever.
Right. Like I said, I think I think Trump turned out to be enough of a wild card that he didn't like he threw enough of a wrench in the plans of some of the high level elites that they didn't want him a second term. I mean, he cooked on pretty much everything as far as like wars and the COVID regime and everything, but
Did he cuck or did he just like always have those positions basically?
well, I mean, that's another thing. He's basically a 90s Democrat. So, like,
I don't think he
yeah.
cucked. I think he's just this way, and Republicans wanted to. So many of these things are like the like wrestling fan, the WWE fan, who is like, it's still real to me, damn it.
I mean, okay, he's a right-wing populist, so like, but yeah, how much of that was real and how much of that was pandering to people who he knew he could get to support him?
Also,
though?
Democrats are right wing, so
Well, of course, yeah, all of them are right-wing in
Yeah.
the U.S. That kind of goes without saying, though.
no,
I'm right wing.
no.
I believe
Before we
fair.
Democrats try
Before
to, like, to a certain extent, co-opt leftist rhetoric. Like, they'll try to, like, but like, yeah, at
Oh, they
best,
don't.
you get the
Before-
social democrat types,
before
like
we
Sanders, and they still aren't allowed to win.
Before we proceed too much, though, we've got chat comments. First off, we got Boog News Network saying, "I just popped in because the title was excellent." I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that the most Imporntaint erection was
I didn't
the
even see
thing
what
you
the
wanted to
title
see.
was.
What?
I didn't even see what the title is. Let's see.
I said it's the most
Most
important,
important.
the most Imporntaint erection.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're
Thanks
you're
for that.
welcome. And he also said symbolism, Agent Schmecker, the Boondock Saints. I don't remember what that's a reference to. I've seen the movie like so many times, but I don't remember that part. So I'll have to refresh.
I've seen
myself.
that movie so many times. If so many times is 0 times.
We should watch that in the Discord at some point.
Mhm.
Hody
Discord.
Hody Johns says live stream yay, so he is here now.
Cody
LeBaron
Johnson.
Yeah, he's here. He's with us. No, he's doing his own live stream. To be honest, everybody's got their own live stream, and I'm surprised anyone is even here. But like, LeBarimer, hello, says first off that I should put sriracha sauce on my chopstick and sound the ATF with it, which makes sense. He also says, "LOL,
I wonder
Kareem."
who that is.
LOL, Kareem going on a Rudyard Lynch rant.
What?
What? Why? Also, why is your mic so quiet?
Because it's away from me.
Well, didn't
Okay.
you mute him at one point?
So Rudyard Lynch,
Like the tyrant you are, didn't you mute him?
I muted him, but that shouldn't affect volume. So Rudyard Lynch is what if altist? It's a really bad channel. So, if you ever want to watch a channel where somebody just makes shit up, like and strings it together in a weird way, what if altist is the channel you should go with? It's not good. It's really bad. He makes stunningly bad points, like that anybody familiar with the actual source material just says, "Hey, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, cunt." But like he keeps on talking because he has a bunch of followers who don't mind that he's a cunt.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, he was being vaguely insulting because you were being like, you were going on like this gateway process thing. I'm not sure that Rudyard Lynch is a gateway process guy though, so I don't think that's quite a fair comparison.
He ain't a cool dude. That's what he is not.
Damn, it's actually extremely rare for Kareem to say that someone's not a cool dude. So this is serious when he says someone's not.
That.
Damn, you just summoned the wrath of Kareem.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's extremely rare.
Look, the Barrimer says also, "I haven't seen you, Hody. How you been?" So,
Looks like a weirdo candidate that Trump endorsed in Ohio won.
Kareem asked who?
Oh, Bernie Moreno.
Bernie Sandorino.
He's
Bernie-
Senate.
Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Moreno. Bernie Sanders did also win.
All
his
right,
seat
Bernie
again,
Sanders.
because
I'll go get
that
the
was such a close race.
The
That
billion
it was called like before the polls even.
But what do you think of Ancom's going for Bernie?
Bernie is the most radical person in the Democratic Party, the closest to their beliefs, even though he is very far right from their beliefs. So it kind of makes sense.
Would you say that though? Because there
I
is AOC. She's pretty.
Yeah.
I'd say
She
she's about where
was-
Bernie is.
But then she like.
If anything,
anyone
I
who
think
gets
she's
into
probably
office
more
will
to the right of
stand out.
Bernie because
Here's
she
a
was.
question. Can you be a social democrat and be a leftist?
Yes.
They're like
Yes.
social democrats are center.
Well, I mean,
left,
if
I
you're a
would say.
social democrat, you might as well be a leftist in the U.S. because the U.S. is very far right compared to
Yeah,
like, the rest
like
of the world.
that's as far
So-
left as it gets in the U.S.
Medicare for all is like a centrist position in every other country.
Yep.
Our country is way far away from everybody. So if
Well,
you're
mine
a, if you're a
is like
social
everyone-
democrat, you're basically a communist. So
Would you
I like
consider
how
the
the conservative
Zapatistas?
libertarians are calling Chase Oliver a leftist. I'm like, you fucking idiots. Like,
A gay
and
race
he's-
communist.
He said he's
that's
pro-capitalism.
the
That makes him,
stupidest thing
by
I've-
definition, not a leftist. Okay. God, the
Yep.
political illiteracy is so exhausting.
And you know who else said he is pro-capitalism? Jimmy Dore. So anybody who says that he's a leftist can go fuck themselves.
Jimmy Dore has taken a very hard right turn as of late. It's kind of bizarre, but I mean, I guess he's following in the steps of Dave Rubin, who was also formerly on the Young Turks. So
Isn't he like a socially conservative social democrat?
No, he's basically just Republican. That's
he's like
why,
a Tulsi Democrat,
That's why.
Okay.
and Tulsi's a Republican now. So
I don't follow him. I just I like the guy who originally founded the Facebook group I helped run. He was a Jimmy Dore fan and he was a tanky, so I figured he was like left leaning at the very least. He's like, oh, he's a liberal
He
who's
was, at one
morphing
point.
into a leftist, and I'm so happy to see his evolution. Apparently, that either didn't happen or
I think a lot of these people are actually
more like a Jackson Hinkle brand leftist, maybe. Although
Yeah.
maybe not that extreme, but
Jackson Hinkle
Yeah.
isn't a leftist either, though.
he's not.
And he
He's not.
Yeah. And he
I think a
go.
lot of these people are actually pretty true to their values because what they are is like the old school authoritarian communism, red fash, and they have been true to it. Like as much as I believe me, I dislike Dore, Hinkle, and all that. But it's funny because they are like Putin's certainly. I mean, this is an ex-KGB dude, right? Like this is the guy who wants to bring the USSR back. This guy is an authoritarian communist, runs his country like an authoritarian, centralized, nationalized communism.
Correct.
But like this is the issue, is that if you supported Russia and its authoritarianism through all that, like that was your version of communism. That's still very much alive. I think what's funny is the right wing is so blind that they aren't aware of how communist they've become. Like, and I want to say to all my friendly incomes out there, I'm talking about authoritarian communism. I'm trying to
Yeah, what the
trying to
heck?
highlight
Kamala
that.
is,
What is called
doing
on the left
really
red
bad-
fascism, but
really bad
yeah.
with Arab voters in Michigan.
Yes.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
Here's my question though: if my understanding of what a leftist is, beyond just Jordan Peterson screaming leftist, my understanding of a leftist is a post-capitalist philosophy, and social democrats utilize capitalism a lot. Like Bernie Sanders is like, no, the millionaires and billionaires are bad, but we need the capitalist system. We just need to give them all handouts for the capitalist system. That's my understanding. A social democrat wants to use capitalism and the state to give people stuff, where I would say somebody who's a leftist either wants the state to do, if you're an authoritarian, the state to do all that stuff to redistribute, or in the case that I like, they want worker self-management industries and co-ops and voluntary interaction, voluntary collectivists in there. Am I wrong there?
So
Right. Yeah. They basically they want the capitalist system. They just want large social safety nets. Like traditionally, this was kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? It was an attempt to placate like workers' unions to prevent people in the U.S. from becoming communists earlier in the 19th century, when work conditions were brutal and people were unionizing. Like, they were offering all sorts of deals, like with the workers. Okay, we'll give you these safety nets if you agree to stop unionizing and stop threatening our power as capitalists.
So
and that part I liked, but I don't like the part where people are like, "Oh, Bernie Sanders is some kind of communist Marxist savior," and
No,
right,
he would not be in politics if he was.
yeah. And the right's like, "No, Bernie Sanders, bread lines and all this stuff," and then it became a huge deal. Well, does he want stuff like Sweden or the US? I remember that, the USSR, and to me, all I could think was, well, none of this is true. Bernie is just, a milquetoast, run-of-the-mill Democrat who says some edgy stuff and gets some. The only problem I had was ANCOM type people, some ANCOM type people, from what I remember back then, supported him. Some leftists did support Bernie. And my issue is to tell leftists, hey, you're against capitalism. Bernie's all for capitalism. There's a huge divide. Bernie doesn't really want to doesn't want to find a solution for your rent problem. He just wants to go say, hey, I'm going to tax someone in a capitalist structure who's doing well, take their wealth, and then supposedly hand it over to you. What happens is they tax those people. It usually goes to war or usually goes to whatever else. My solution would be, hey, get rid of the state. I guess leftism is confusing also because post-capitalist philosophy can include authoritarian communism, socialism, or it can include anarchism, which is mutualism, syndicalism, platformism, and anarcho-communism. That's kind of how I've broken it down.
Right. I mean, the ANCOM supporting him it's like libertarians supporting Trump. They're the misguided types.
And that's the thing I don't like. I don't care really what happens. I just even the Mises Caucus is like, help us against our war against Trump. Help us, about our coalition with Trump. And I'm like, I don't want to stick around if you want a coalition with Trump. I actually would prefer, regardless of what happens tonight,
88% chance of victory.
For what?
Wow.
Yeah, some stuff from Pennsylvania just came in at 70%. Trump's up by, looks like 4.2%. So that's...
Yeah, there wasn't enough build up here. It's just not exciting.
Yeah.
Trump's up to 300. That's the estimate from New York Times.
So basically...
I mean, 300 would be it. If that was called,
yeah,
it's over. Yeah.
I feel like
map,
if you're a news organization and you make a bold claim like that and you're wrong, that's if
remember
they feel
when they called
comfortable
it for Al
making
Gore? Am I the only one who remembers that? I'm
old.
Alive.
Or I guess I was technically alive for that, but very young.
remembers what?
Them calling it for Al Gore.
Oh yeah, the hanging chads.
2020. But
yeah.
It's over.
No, I was in middle school at the time, but that was a huge deal.
Here's my question. Regardless if Trump wins or not, or Kamala wins, I really don't care. What I think we need to do is actually get somebody at the Mises Caucus to read the statement of purpose on attack the system on that website and say, look, regardless of who wins,
Oh,
Trump and Kamala are old and they're not going to be around a long time.
So it looks. Sorry to interrupt, but it looks like New York has obviously been called for Harris, but it looks like her performance in New York is like uniquely bad.
It was not. No.
Wow.
Like she
Yeah,
still
that-
won,
that's
but
actually
like
significant.
yeah.
Yeah, because this is a one-party rule state, so you generally expect a landslide. So, yeah,
At
Yeah.
the moment, my
yeah.
map
I
is
did not
perfect.
expect her to be less popular than Biden, honestly.
Your math,
I-
Odie? Your math?
My map is perfect. I submitted it on Facebook. I had a 312 victory. I'm trying to figure what the New York Times did to project the
why is
300.
this-
Oh, Jeremiah, so the link you shared
a
on your
lot.
Discord didn't work for some reason, and I couldn't share this stream with my people.
What? Okay.
It didn't work. It just led to I tried you click the link and it says server not found or whatever,
Server? Okay.
or not server. I don't know.
Nice, guys. Check this out. I saved it.
I couldn't get the link that you posted on your Discord to work.
Rathbone, one of my comrades, posted something cool. Can I
That's
share
weird.
them?
T's DNS.
Yeah, it says T and nothing happens.
That's a weird URL actually, because it shouldn't be T/co, and I don't know why it is.
If they're already claiming cheating, they're running.
All right.
Oh.
Well, it should work if you just remove that co or the slash.
See, no need to thank me.
So, I'll share the. Yeah, I hope it's not that way from Twitter as well.
I think it is.
Okay, well, I'll fix that if it is.
Trump actually didn't do that great in Texas.
Means nobody got to see our stream.
No, I mean it's still going too. Like
People
it's
are
probably gonna be
commenting.
going for a bit, but like so it is working from Twitter. Like if you go to the tweet, it works. For some reason, when the tweet pasted or when the tweet embedded, the embed made it fuck up like that, and I'm not sure why, but it's a Discord problem, not a Twitter problem.
So Trump is crying about some kind of cheating happening in Philadelphia,
Oh, I heard.
which leads me to believe that he on his internal polling is seeing something that we are not seeing right now.
Oh
So
shit!
it's probably gearing his
shit.
base for
you-
something.
Okay, you were sharing your screen on purpose. All right, cool.
Yeah, it was.
He didn't pull a Vosh or something.
No.
What was it?
We're
The
looking
oh
at
shit.
Texas.
I thought for a second my own Skype was fucking up, and that's why we were seeing some shit.
No. I was
I
just
mean-
sharing.
So, I mean, what
There you go,
what is this
support
supposed to be
genocide.
saying?
It's saying that. No, what this is saying is that Kamala Harris. So it looks like Jill Stein vote. So the original poster is claiming that Jill
Oh.
Stein stole the election from Kamala. She should have been able to flip Texas. And this person is replying, Kamala Harris should have ran as like a fucking Democrat and not a fucking she should have opposed the genocide in Gaza.
Hey!
And she would have actually flipped all these Jill Stein voters for her. They would have been able to win the election. That's a
They
good
always
point.
want to blame the third parties,
So.
as if
that's
it's
the
just
fun
it's so
part.
obnoxious. It's like, no, you were not entitled to anyone's vote. You wanted it, you could have earned it, but you didn't.
but
So fuck
people
you.
like
I hope
that.
you lose.
I swear to God, here's the funniest thing. I did a live stream right after the 2020 election. I got so many people saying, Cream, thank you so much. The JoJo votes stopped Donald Trump. And I'm like,
In
Okay,
2016,
whatever.
we
No,
got
then
blamed
those
for
people
him.
would not have
So-
voted for him.
tell me I'm wasting my vote. This is why I like it. Because
That's another part of this dynamic. That's that argument that's stupid is that these people that vote third party typically are low propensity voters anyway, so they would not have voted for
Precisely,
your candidate.
yeah.
So I'm
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
if there
not.
wasn't a
Maybe,
third party
maybe.
candidate, I would have just written "Go fuck yourself" in the write-in space and not voted for anyone.
so I'm sending you a
So,
link
Yeah.
that should work.
But here's my thing. The reason I like it is because this. And maybe this is a dick move. You can tell me if I'm wrong or not. Sometimes I have bad political takes on why I do things, but when people say your vote doesn't count, and then you go vote and you don't win, but you upset something, and they say, the third party beat it, and I'm like, maybe you should take third parties seriously, because even though we can't win, we can put a wrench in the cog and smash something. And if we keep doing that, maybe, just maybe, the vote really does count, because it's kind of like Schrodinger's vote. It's hilarious to me. that people will
Schrodinger's?
literally- Huh?
Schrodinger's. There's no ding.
Schrodinger's. I said Schrodinger's.
No, actually, I think the way you said it threw me off. You're probably go.
My dad's a physicist. Anyway, it's like Schrodinger's cat. Obviously, you can't tell if the cat's dead or alive, and that's the same thing with third parties. It's like your party made us throw the election, but your vote doesn't count. I'm like, well, how can both be true? So to me, I like messing stuff up. I like messing up a little stuff up because then at least you have to take me seriously. Not because I'm winning, because I can come over here and sucker punch you and cause a little bit of damage. I don't know if that's a good way to think about it or not.
Seems fine.
That's my strategy, literally. It's like I wanted to be on the team to mess things up. Because it's fun. Because I'm a ex-punk rocker, and you got to have fun with that. You got to smash some stuff up.
Well, yeah, but a lot of
really close.
Well, yeah, but a lot of punk songs are over 3 minutes, so they're not good.
Yeah, they're not good.
So, generally speaking, first, actually, yeah, let's continue addressing some of these chat comments. That is part of the reason the thing. So the first thing is that he brought up what if Althist because he did a video on the Monroe Institute. So yeah, that makes sense. But he wanted to say also, LOL Kareem, where the fuck is that 250 years from again? Can you cite where that came from specifically? I'm not sure what you were talking about there. Like what the length of an empire?
Empires only lasts around 250 years.
Yeah, what's your source? He wants that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's go to Claude.
No. What's your source that you have for that? Or were you just saying it because it was something that was said?
Oh, I'm not saying it because it was something that was just said. Okay. Well, I've studied. I know this isn't the greatest thing, but if you play Age of Empires for, more than 10 hours in high school, which I was a nerd, and I still am. I'm just a jack nerd. So you can tell all the ladies on this stream. And I'm a syndicalist. Mongol Empire lasted 160 years. British Empire was 300 years. Persian Achaemenid Empire was 220. Ottoman was 600. That was probably the longest one. Roman Empire was 500 years. So let's go ahead, pull out a calculator. And, JD, you can tell me if the math is off. So we have Roman Empire at 500.
AI says he's right, so.
I mean, no. I know this from literally playing a game. Not even from Google. Just, I play, the Persian Empire was 220 years. Unless you want to count modern Iran, but I don't think we want to. So, if we add all those up, that's 1,700. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Divided by 6. That comes out to 296.667. So maybe I was a little bit off there, but there's other empires I didn't conclude, but I literally took an average.
Hody is including a bunch of links, so that's probably true.
Okay, empires last from 250 years to 400 years, but I would postulate for several reasons. Now, why would I say the American Empire? Because forget the spiritual stuff. I'd say the American Empire is engaged in just about every war conflict you can think of, either via proxy or directly. They cannot pay back the interest on the debt, which is a huge thing. a lot of people are becoming disillusioned with the media and the propaganda and don't really believe anything the establishment has to say. And we're more divided than ever. I don't think whoever wins is going to change that. And on top of that, you know, we can argue. I guess we could argue bricks, but I don't know.
So, Liberimer is saying, which Roman Empire, from Romulus to Constantine, the 11th, sometimes I'm thrown off by Roman numerals, Paleologos, or up until Julius Caesar, or up until Marcus Aurelius, and then the crisis of the 3rd century, because I'm at over 1,000 years for the Roman Empire, almost 2,000, and the Achaemenides, I think that's Achaemenids? I forget how to pronounce that. Are you referring to Darius till Alexander?
I'm giving it a ballpark of what I know in history.
Well,
I said 500 years. All right, if we want to give it from the East Byzantine Empire, yes, 1500.
So I think it might be an interesting stream if he's ever willing to get on one of these streams for him to like drill down on some historical details with you and maybe with some other people as well.
We can ask, and I can also ask Keith Preston, who has a vast knowledge. I wouldn't consider him a historian, but if I'm wrong, he can be like, "Hey, you're wrong."
I think there's a lot of questions about like it, like. So, for example, I was studying the fall of the Han Dynasty just a couple weeks ago, and people actually question if that's a dynasty, if it fell, like, does this count as an empire or a civilization falling? And it's not something that there's like universal consensus about, you know. And we even have bits, because of my theology degree, I've looked at the area in Israel. Oh shoot, and now this is where I get kicked out from that degree. That one kingdom that fell to the Sea People, and they're actually called the Sea People. I know it sounds like I'm talking about like something from South Park, but like
yeah, I was gonna say, you talk about those sea monkeys that got fertilized by human sperm.
It was Edom. That's what it is, and they do call them Sea People, but yeah, and as well as in South Park. But yeah, the kingdom of Edom. Well, was that actually like an empire? It was a civilization. Were they close enough for linked to Israel that we count their fall when Israel falls, or do we count their fall separately? Like, there's not really. You ask a different historian, you'll get different numbers on this one, but I do think, like, at least conceptually, we can recognize like partial falls, like Roma, Britain. Is that Rome? I mean, it certainly had an era, and then it certainly fell. Some might say it never existed because they never actually took over the entire island, and some might say this is one of the longest lasting civilizations ever because they were present for a long time. So I'm throwing in 2 cents. I know it's like I'm muddying the water, but I guess I'm just saying that these waters are always going to be muddy.
No, you're not muddying the water at all. Like, actually having a nuanced discussion about like what empires qualify as and whether or not they've lasted is reasonable. Especially since the empires that like overextend themselves the least are the ones that are most likely to last. The fact that an empire doesn't necessarily behave in a traditionally imperial way does not mean it's not an empire worth like adding to the calculus. So,
well, thank you. I'm glad you got it.
Yeah,
what I was going for there.
Yeah, I just had to like put it through the cynical asshole lens because obviously, but yeah, I mean, I don't think you're muddying the waters at all. I think that having an actual nuanced discussion there is necessary, and I'm sure that.
Hey, I'm getting word that Stein is now ahead of Oliver.
Huh.
Wow.
That's
that's not that surprising. It's not that surprising because
her party stood by her. Ours
that
didn't.
does not happen in general, though. Like,
actually, like this.
Yeah.
Here's
they're going to be they're going to replace the Libertarian Party as the largest third party.
They should. We're broke. We got nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a green now. I'm a green. I believe in America. We need the Green New Deal. Here's what I think we need. Here's what actually I think is important is whenever a country or a region engages in imperial activities, you have to do what? Inflate money. You have to do lots of expeditions. In my opinion, that's going to hurt the living standard of your citizens. And on top of that, it creates animosity. People get divided. Some people strongly support the state because the state needs to garner a lot of influence, and some people highly oppose war and imperial stuff and proxy wars and all this type of thing. So that's why I think once you go down that path, it's a self-destructive path. Some last longer than others, some don't.
Well, right.
So whether you call something directly an empire or not, or whether, okay, nation state, or, people want to use different words. Oh, America's not an empire. It's, this, the Soviet Union wasn't. I've had people argue the USSR and America's not an empire because there's no emperor. And I'm like, okay, who is the emperor of, half of these things that existed? Yeah, some empires do have emperors, some don't. The British Empire did not have an emperor. The USSR did not have an emperor, and we don't have an emperor, unless maybe you count Larry Fink. So,
California called for Harris.
What was?
California.
Oh, well, of course.
So, to me, once you go on that self-destructive path, you can't go back. I think it's over. The only thing that can be done is to try to revert to anarchism or some form of nationalism. Maybe that's what I'm saying here.
I'm just looking over here at fucking, like, this giant fucking spruik of red and remembering the map of people who stood by the fucking governor of Texas when he was throwing families into razor wire.
Yeah.
It's the exact same map. Like, there's no... And like, it even... Also, just to be super clear, sometimes I forget that Colorado is where it is because it's the most boring state shape. And so
I always think it's further
east.
North and further to the west than it is.
Oh, well, it's the opposite for me. I just, for some reason, I thought that, like my brain...
It's a fucking square, and it's kind of right in the middle of the U.S. map.
Yeah, and if you're watching this, Karen, this is not a mark against you, but your state does have a boring shape.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm from Colorado.
See? Your state has a boring shape.
Is Wyoming not boring?
Yeah.
What if I go to sleep and
Wyoming is boring as well. Yeah, they're both little boring squares.
I don't even know where Wyoming is. It's just
Wyoming's
another one
like
of
right
those
above
stupid
Colorado.
square shapes.
It's square, but it's like slightly turned up on the top. It's like a wonky square. It's like slightly wonky.
It's like got the British upturned nose of.
I don't know.
Square.
I've never even been west of Michigan. Okay, I'm boring. I have not traveled, so I don't know what's out west.
Well, I've never
through all these states.
Hey, do that hand signal again.
No.
Anyway, it was right there. I had to, but so the general thing though, because I've never been out of California or Washington, so I'm the uber boring probably here. But the general
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. Then how are you wanted in 8 states?
Oh, because so many people the voices, they travel for me. That's why I have night terrors of places I haven't been to yet.
So wait, do they control people by proxy in other states and make them commit crimes, and that's why you're wanted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, I guess.
So, but the thing, just to real quick say something, we've got bright red marks on Florida, Alabama, North and South Carolina.
Both of those have been called.
We've got red on Wuth. We've got red on Key. That was West Virginia and Kentucky, for those of you who don't speak weird furry. Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, Montana, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Utah. It's basically looking like Trump, and I have zero doubt.
All of those are safe red states, though. So
I have zero doubt that Alaska's going to be a red. I think.
Oh yeah,
I
but
think.
they're like 3 electoral votes, so who cares?
I think Nevada's probably going to
okay,
be red
wait.
too.
Is there
Nevada's
a difference
probably gonna
between
be red, that's what I
Southern
think.
Californian and furry? Like, do they have different dialects, or do furries speak Southern Californian?
Yes, furry is a global dialect. There's it's like a superstructure that exists over the archetype of like all of the others. Is that when you start speaking the furry stuff, they know exactly what you mean. Like if you say "mer," you can say that in any accent. But if you do say "mer," it means you want to fuck in a fursuit. So Kareem just confirmed his desires.
No.
Well, Kareem, you have no choice to go through
Myrrh's
with it
what
now
they
because
gave
I'm going to
babies.
bully you if you don't go through with it.
I got some myrrh. Isn't myrrh a reddish thingy they gave Jeebus or something?
That's spelled
So,
differently.
when do you reveal your
We're getting some
persona?
calls. We're getting some calls.
We get some calls. Who's calling?
Kamala wins Washington. Okay, cool.
Okay, nobody cares.
I mean, that was expected.
Yeah.
What did Ang comes and Ang?
Thanks, CBS.
I just
Wow.
want to say,
Awesome.
outside of
So
Minnesota,
that's it.
my
That's
math
the
is
news.
perfect.
That's the news.
And I'm thinking Minnesota is only 16% in, so there's no way that stays Trump.
CBS hasn't called Georgia yet, but like everyone else has.
Is it true that Texas was momentarily blue?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There was like a.
So was
like a
Ohio.
day. There was a
Yeah.
day
Yeah, that's funny.
Right.
where like
This is the problem with
Texas-
like you get so excited about the first like 3% like for
Uh-huh.
people, and then I'm like, guys,
Yeah, because they
guys.
count the major cities,
Right.
and then
right? Because like I mean, like listen, like a lot of this is going to break back. Get ready for the cries. I think Trump is going to win enough that it shouldn't matter, but you're going to hear people cry about it because the mail-ins always shift left. Like, and so like this is just. You're gonna see some shifting back. You're gonna see some more stop the
What
counts. But I think Trump's got this.
I don't know. We'll see.
So we got
The
some,
betting odds are
gotta
like
be
90% right
really,
now.
really
Like if you put
close.
money on it.
Mhm.
We've
Like
got
if you put money on Trump right now, you would get $1. Like if you bet $1, you get $1.10.
Go on the
back.
Kalashi app and just bet like $500,000. Woo! I got a return. What
so
was I going to say? How about we get a Harding Leatherman ticket for the Libertarian Party in 2028?
They don't like each other. That would be a problem.
Wow,
we-
Connecticut called for
but
Harris.
you see, it would be entertaining for the people watching, at least.
I'm gonna run.
I would be entertained.
What if they win? What if?
I mean, okay, but then you get built-in partisan gridlock, so that's a good thing.
I mean, we get
Like we
the-
would not ever, we wouldn't be okay. We would not get anything done because we'd always be feuding over stupid shit, and it would always be over something really, really stupid too.
Yeah, it'd be like, is Maxim magazine fascist?
I mean actually partially, but we've got some
See, and I think that's stupid. So there you go.
we've got
Fight out.
we've got
Is
a
Big Bird fascist?
we've got a
Yes.
we've got
Big
a
Bird is a fuck. Okay, Big Bird is a fucking fascist.
we've got a series of comments that I think we can all agree to though, so I'm just gonna say those.
Where's Michael Rector?
LOL, Kareem. That was the other one. Really, we shouldn't have to care about the election because become strong and independent enough that you don't have to care about who's in power. Become untreadable.
Okay,
I like that.
I mean, like
Yeah,
immigrants are still
but I
gonna be
want
mass-deported
a
and,
Harding Leatherman
you know,
ticket.
Yeah.
women dying because of abortion
well-
bans. So I mean, like there are serious consequences here. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
but then you bring your gun and you say do the abortion anyway, and then they have to.
With the gun? What?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Do
just
it.
shoot the baby.
yeah.
I never want to like dismiss somebody's fear because in truth, like, and we've talked about this on the stream before, like this is the end of somebody's world. Like
Yes.
these who gets elected will murder innocent people and not, I mean, if Trump's last time he killed 3.3 times as many people
Mhm.
Yeah.
at the rate at what Obama killed. And we all know he killed a lot of people.
No one's
And
gonna
so what
be-
happens here is that like people will, and that's like straight up like deaths, right? Like, and of course Trump also repealed the reporting, so he killed more than 3.3 times as many
Right.
people as Obama. But like, here's the thing: Harris, obviously, she's talking about deadly military. She would kill people. Like
Yes.
this is not. And so like somebody will die, and we are talking about different sets of people. So I don't blame people for voting out of like a fear. I mean, if we bring this down to like getting bullied to death, you look at what happened with the hate crimes under Trump and all the people that got beat up and murdered there. Like we are talking with you look at the local terrorist attacks and the people inspired by Trump, and like the Christchurch attacks where this guy's like, yeah, Trump, I'm gonna go kill a bunch of Muslims. Like people will die based on who is elected. We're just talking about which kind of people. Now, if you're an immigrant, both of them will kill you.
Mhm.
But like, and that's like a really sad thing. But like at the same time, like I understand like there's some people looking at this and they're like, this means more bullying for me. I don't know if I can make it. Like I'm
Exactly.
already barely hanging on as is. And yeah, this is going to be more bullying for them. And so like to me, this is a call out that we're going to have to love the very people that are going to be in whoever's targets, and we got to, I think it's something that we need to be vigilant about, and we need to be compassionate about, because even though for me, like I'm a Chase Oliver guy, I'm not going to be responsible for anybody's death, or if you don't vote or you're writing Ron Paul or something, you're not responsible for anybody's death because you're not voting for death, but like I understand if you're a Trump person, you're like, this is my business. I mean, we had a local business here when Trump reduced the tax rates from what was it, 38% to 29%, something like. It was small, but it was enough so it's like, oh my gosh, we can stay open for another 4 years. When Biden got rid of them, closed up shop. There was no chance. This is somebody's livelihood on the line here. And so like I know we're doing a lot of flippant like doesn't matter, although I know, I think most of you all agree with me,
Right,
that it matters, but it's just who is the evil directed towards. They're both evil.
Right.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, they're not identical. Okay, yeah, I mean, like I'm guilty of saying who gives a fuck because they're both the same. But like, okay, there are small differences between the two parties. Like one of them is slightly better on certain things, like for example, reproductive rights. Other one is slightly better on things like the right to self-defense. So yeah, whether or not you think one is better than the other, it's very subjective because it really depends on what you're prioritizing. So on the local level, that's where I actually do pay attention. Like, is like the primary reason why I show up to vote is because of like local elections, because like that's where shit actually matters, and I actually do pay attention to party status. Like if it's for like state assembly or something, okay. In New York, Republicans are likely to be slightly better because they're not going to do stupid shit like trying to outlaw gas stoves or outlaw burning of wood for heat, like which is something that New York Democrats actually want to do because of a carbon footprint.
Apparently, though, the gas stove thing was massively overblown, and most of them didn't have anything to do with it.
But there actually are people who want gas stoves outlawed. Like,
right.
Yeah, okay, it might have been overblown, but there actually are people who think this way. Just saying, like, this is a suburban progressive Democrat thing that, like, there actually are people saying, oh, well, I think that's a good idea because clearly they're wasteful and we should just have electric stoves. What could possibly go wrong from being dependent on the electrical grid?
Especially since that has coal.
What was that?
Especially since that has coal.
And whenever I say this to them, they have no response.
And, like, there's energy wastage over the lines.
Uh-huh.
I do have
and then like for like I don't know court like for like judge positions and stuff, like I'm more likely to vote for Democrats locally because Republicans are more likely to be tough on crime assholes. Democrats are more likely to at least be reformists on things like drug laws and stuff. So like at the local level, there is a slight difference between the two parties. So yeah, it's not that they're both identical; it's that they're both ultimately. You're going to get fucked over either way. It really depends, like, which issues are slightly more important to you than others.
And in my opinion, I think, I mean, I'm not going to, like, this is specifically not designed to bring up a whole bunch of the same stuff, but I am going to say that, like, that guy on Twitter the other month, I think, maybe weeks, it's been, like, probably a month now, who said that, like, fucking it's negligibly different to New Mexico just flipped blue. Negligible difference to like kill a drug dealer or user or to cage them. Like that's the mentality that a lot of people get into, where it doesn't matter whether or not like the person is going to die. It doesn't matter whether or not the person is going to have significantly worse treatment under one person, because the person can still say that, like, they're, the same on some other level. But to that person, that's like, the level that matters is like, is the person involved going to kill me?
Well, what I would do, like, I would be sure to like I would.
I'll come back.
I think it's hard to draw comparisons between something that someone says during a speech when this particular person is known to say like one thing when talking to a particular crowd and another thing, like something completely contradictory when talking to a different crowd based on what he thinks they want to hear, and something that the other candidate has actually done. Like, I think if you're going to compare policy, you need to compare policies that were actually implemented by both candidates.
Well, sure, but like the implementation.
Like, Trump does the tough on crime bullshit when talking to like the tough on crime Republican base, and then like a day later he'll be claiming, "Oh yeah, we should totally pardon nonviolent drug offenders" or some bullshit like that, depending on who he's talking to. So like, yeah, the claim that he wants to execute drug dealers is concerning, but like, question is, I guess, would he actually be able to get support for that?
No.
That remains questionable.
The way that
Harris, on the other hand, actually did imprison people for life for bullshit reasons and keep them in prison beyond what they were supposed to spend in prison so that she could use them as slave labor.
So, let me just say something in that regard. So, like, when it comes down to rhetoric versus action, like, Harris specifically did have actions on her record, but she had actions on her record for her small spate of California. Trump had the ability to influence the whole country, and the people that the people that are on Trump's side are people like, for instance, Abbott in Texas, who just pardoned Daniel Perry while also executing that other guy. I forget his name right now. That's really bad for me.
Innocent
to be like
guy.
that other, yeah, the innocent guy. And so that's when it comes down to it, it's not just Trump when it's Trump as a president. It's also the people following his demagogic beck and call in this regard. It's also the people that he can influence in his own personal spheres. It's the people he was, encouraging, like, to be attacked in the streets. It's the Yemenis that were genocided by his arming of the Saudis, which are, funding his golf courses now, which isn't at all concerning. It's the people, like, it's the fact that when you wield that kind of influence, it's not just like, I made this decision, I signed off on these specific things. It's, I know that these people are going to do this kind of thing, and it will make me look good because my country will seem like it's tough on crime. So it's like Trump has these actions. It's sort of like you don't need to actually be the one to kill the the Al-Awlaki family, the Anwar and Abdul Rahman Al-Awlaki, through Obama. He didn't actually kill them. He didn't fucking go up there and murk a bitch.
Of course not. None of these presidents have done that, though.
Right.
He gave the okay for it because the military industrial complex wanted to do that. Like,
so they're all giving their okay. They're all creating their own culture, and by that token, Trump
is there
did
a widespread
act.
push? Is there a widespread push to execute drug dealers, or is there more of a push to tax and regulate and make tons of money off of selectively legalizing certain drugs? I'm just saying,
that's the other half of my point, though.
I don't think Trump himself is going to do anything. I think it depends on who's influencing him at the time. But then, of course, being the egomaniac he is, he'll try to take credit for it and brag about it after the fact.
That's the other half of my point, though, is that, he wants to do things that give him a name, while also, getting his crimes cleared. That's a primary reason he wants to take the White House, is that he can pardon himself and all of his crony friends. So, what he wants to do there, though, the BRICS situation is an interesting one. The West knows for a fact that the Russian economy is about to blow wide open because the strait north of their country is melting. The ice caps are melting. And so the ice caps are melting, and they're getting much better shipping through that region to the north. So, and not only
That's
that, but it's exposing resources that they can mine from the ice and various like places of Earth that are defrosting. And so they are becoming less and less reliant on the West, and they're getting more and more of what they need from their own positions. And so
Iowa's been called for Trump, by the way. So much for the Ann Seltzer poll thing.
yeah, right.
What?
Poll that is consistently wrong gets it consistently wrong. I didn't know what everybody was going on about there.
Yeah. So
Much for
the general thing is that like with that, like those people are going to start to like the BRICS alliance, including China. All these people are going to start to be able to really hone in on like the resources that they can like control. And the U.S. will have less price control over those resources because they'll have less regional domination. And that sort of thing builds itself up to the point where these people will stop needing the U.S. as much, and the U.S. will need a different source of all the same minerals. Well, what different source of all the same minerals exists? South America, Mexico. Yeah. And so if these people want a different source of resources, it would behoove them to start installing capitalist dictators in those regions, like they've been doing, like they've been meddling in Venezuela, like, Trump meddled in Venezuela already, like they've been meddling in Argentina with Javier Milei, like they've been meddling in all these countries, installing essentially dictators that are friendly to the American regime. And then while they're doing that, creating an environment down there of, oh yeah, crime is where it's at. Crime is the bad shit. Like creating this environment and this culture against crime. And then being like, Javier Milei's Patricia Bullrich, he hated her during the campaign season. And then when the campaign season was over, he was suddenly like, hey, Pat, you want a job? And then immediately she was like posting videos saying she was going to make the drug dealers shake. So when it comes down to it, the South American and Mexican regions are flipping toward capitalism just in time to fall in line with the Western potential push for war in that region. And if there was war in that region, he would have all of the excuse he needed to start doing things like he's been promising. The Alien and Sedition Acts for migrants, the execution of drug dealers, the mass deportation and internment camps, the mass surveillance of potential threats. Those sorts of things that he has been pushing would be much easier if we were at war with people down there, or at least doing, the totally not war that we don't need congressional approval for and military action, authorization of military force. There's going to be something like that. The Middle Eastern terror threat has sort of dried up. And they've sort of run out of credibility to
reignite that, but yeah, it's not as scary as it was 20 years ago.
BRICS is in,
do you think
and
that
BRICS is in
Democrats
South
would not
America.
Do the same thing.
And
would Democrats
BRICS
not do the same thing and try to dress it up in slightly prettier sounding rhetoric? Though?
And BRICS is in South America, so if they could cripple the BRICS alliance by taking the B off the table, then and flipping Brazil toward the West, then they could basically secure Western hemispheric regional dominance, and then they would have allies in Europe, they would still have AFRICOM, they would still have people in certain parts of the Asian continent. So the question is whether or not Trump would act on these things, because if he would, then executing drug dealers is just part of that package deal. And
Right.
the fact that he might have been blustering before does not mean that he wouldn't act on it then. I don't think he was blustering. I think he's always been serious. And as to whether or not Democrats would do this, maybe, almost
I think
certainly.
they would. I think
Well,
they
that's
dressed up in
one
slightly
question.
prettier sounding rhetoric the way they always do.
But at
But
the
wait,
same time,
I have a
we're
huge-
talking
it's
about
like
what.
Obama not
Yeah, but that's the
continued,
thing.
not only continued every other war that Bush had started,
Yes.
but he expanded them. He started several new ones. He tortured more people than the Bush administration, and
And then Trump
all the while
outdid
giving
him.
all those beautiful sounding
Yeah,
speeches about it. Like
it was even worse than that. But here's
that
my
was how I learned my lesson about Democrats in the first.
And then Trump outdid him.
yeah.
So Trump
yeah,
can
of course,
so
each
and
one gets worse
and
than
now
the last.
and
It's
now
insane.
and now Trump has a Biden to outdo. So the question is like whether or not he would act on this, not whether or not the Democrats would do it as well, because that's like the Democrats haven't even said that they would. The fact that Trump has said that he would and still had support from his base means that he has a strong likelihood of actually acting on that because he would lose supporters if he did.
Do you think? Well, let me ask you a question.
Well, in that
I have
case,
a
let's
question
hope the
here.
Libertarian cabinet member actually happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
well, that's
I mean,
my
I
question.
am not. I am not holding out hope. I'm just saying, let's hope it does.
Let's hope it does. But I have a question about all this. If looks like I'm guessing Trump's winning, but
Actually, what we're dealing with now is 205 Harris versus 230 Trump. It's like come closer, bottlenecking.
Yeah,
it's bottleneck. But here's I want to ask a
close.
question. I've been trying to ask the question is our party, I guess, since I'm still part of it. I got support. Now, the good thing is I'm getting support from a lot of leftists. So I could potentially, if we got them all together, turn some stuff around the Libertarian Party. That being said,
Nope, you're a traitor. You voted for Stein.
yeah, I'm a traitor. But anyway,
You're a hater, clearly.
yeah, clearly. But my question is
Also, you want to like ban abortion.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then you'll actually get support from the Mises Caucus.
Yeah, the Mises Caucus will like that. They won't get mad. But my question is, since the Mises Caucus still likes me, apparently for some, and the leftists were getting along, we have the ability now, if one of two things happen. If Harris wins, then the Mises Caucus doesn't have a coalition with Trump anymore because he's gone. If Trump gets in and outdoes Biden or is still violent, then do you think the Mises Caucus says, hey, we messed up. Let's go back to can we go back to the paleo strategy at that point? Either way, can we go back to the paleo strategy?
That's a really good question because I don't think they have a plan beyond Trump not winning. Like they basically sold out every principle that we were sold and like that we joined them for.
Let's say
I
Trump
don't
wins,
even know if they have a plan beyond Trump winning at this point.
I guarantee.
I don't know if they can turn back at this point.
Yeah, I guarantee you this. Amash said our wars are on autopilot. So basically what I think is one of two things has to happen for sure. Harris wins, and then there's nothing, the fallback plan's gone. Or Trump wins, and he's violent. And then I'm like, hey, Michael Heiss, he's still killing people. Okay, but he's not killing people in Ukraine. He's killing people in Taiwan. Hey, Angela, he's killing people here. He's like the NAP, important. So I say, hey, look, how about we stop focusing on politicians? I got all these leftists here that are going to be around for the foreseeable future. Everybody that I know, all these leftists are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. These people that they're building coalitions with are all in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Who's going to be around longer, for one? And two, these things are decentralized. So why not have a huge have the real red wave, which is a bunch of, leftists. Why not work with them? There's two There's two strategies Rothbard had. One is working with paleos, and one was working with leftists.
Early Rothbard worked with leftists, and
I really think
rightoids.
The reason I didn't leave Mises Caucus is they're still listening to me. Mm-hmm. I really think I could bring Luke and some of these people to say, hey, if Harris wins or Trump's violent, which Trump will be violent in some way, I guarantee you, and they can say, well, we didn't get everything we wanted. But then I can say, look, he's going to violate libertarian principles. I'm just waiting for him to do that so I can say, look, Trump violated libertarian principles. This isn't working. This was a bad idea anyway. Can we go back to working with the leftists? Whatever you want to define as leftists, is a broad term, but I think we can even make a plank to redefine what that is, because a lot of people think a leftist is just your average liberal who
They think leftist is when gay.
Yeah, they think leftist is gay. They think
They have
leftist
no
is
idea what a leftist is. They think anyone with vaguely socially progressive values is leftist. Like, I've
Yeah,
tried to explain this to them.
The thing that annoyed me the most in this election is not that people people dislike Kamala Harris. I think Kamala Harris is a fascist, but she's sure as hell not a communist. If she was a communist, funny enough, she wouldn't put the middle class family bullshit, because communists don't really like at least NCOMs are not big on class. They'll say true communism is a stateless, classless, moneyless society, as defined by Marx and Engels, but they never got there because of the stupid idea of having a transition, which, in my opinion, Marx and Engels weren't that bad. It was Trotsky, who then later birthed the neocons from his bad ideas, and Keith has a long thing on that. So, not to go on and on about this, but people thought Kamala Harris was a communist. People think all communism is the Soviet Union, Pol Pot, and Mao. And what they will not acknowledge, which I would like them to acknowledge, and I even was discussing this with Jack, who's having his own election stream, was I used a little bit of AI, but what I found...
Well, you're dead to us.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you gotta do a little bit. I'm dead to maybe Jeremiah. But what I found, here's the funny thing I found. Everybody always argues communism makes people poorer and production goes down. What I found with the CNC FAI, worker management, co-ops, all that type of stuff is, yes, authoritarian communism makes things a lot worse because the state can't calculate things and they have the ECP. But when you have actual worker ran and non-hierarchical industries, they produce more. ANCAPs don't want to acknowledge that because I guess that would break their little myth that communism always fails all the time, which it doesn't. A particular form of communism that's authoritarian fails all the time. But guess what? Authoritarian capitalism, which is basically what we have now, corporatism, fails quite a lot too. So I think it's really, we need to focus on the decentralized modes of these economic systems and work together. And how I propose that to them, I don't exactly know. But regardless of what happens here tonight, I'm going to do that because I really think if the Mises Caucus took its reach and worked with leftists, like Rothbard initially said, and most people say they like early Rothbard, that we could get a lot further. Not elections, but actually, I don't really care about federal elections. I even talked to Michael Heisen before, he said he liked Trump. He said, what's better, to win local elections and to stop the Fed there, or go the federal government and try to stop the Fed there? I said, well, it's clear. Local elections are. And we can win local elections. Local elections are tough, but they're winnable. So, is it possible, with whatever happens, I want to go back. I really want to go back to the whatever you want to call early Rothbard, the leftist strategy, as opposed to the paleo strategy, because it doesn't seem like the paleo strategy. I'm almost sure the paleo strategy will not work.
How many times must we learn that lesson?
But I don't really want to keep learning the lesson. See, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is people don't learn from. Well, it's like the joke. My dad, I complained in college. I'm like, Dad, I don't need to learn calculus. I just want to do IT now. All this. I just want to get my computer degree. I don't need a PhD. Learning calculus is useless. I'm never going to use it. And he said, you took a history class. You're never going to use that. I said, what did you get? Did you get any practical knowledge from that? Or I said, yeah, don't invade Russia during winter time. So I can see the problems with history, and history will keep repeating itself. That's why I voted for Jill Stein, because they were never again speech. History will keep repeating itself until you change the course of it. I think actually doing what Rothbard intended early on, especially with Konkin, and leftists was a good idea. And I think we need to bring all the people back who, Jeremiah, bring him back to the group, bring Jack and Foe back, definitely bring Jack and Foe back, bring all the people who were unrightly, I don't want to say zucked, but, unrightly...
the ones that were just, like, unceremoniously kicked out for no reason.
Unceremoniously Mises, because I don't think there was any good call to kick out any of those. Or I think they even tried to kick out ANCAP Air, and then they said it was a mistake. And,
No, he did get banned because he was posting about it on Twitter. And then, he got banned from the group, and then he, tagged them on Twitter to ask why, and they blocked him on all their official accounts.
Yeah, like what's going on here?
They're just purging anyone who, has been vaguely critical. I saw a person get banned from the, as a state organizer recently, or suspended because, he had, what did he do? Oh, he signed a petition. A horror. We did not sign any sort of agreement saying we could not do that.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's part of the accountability mechanisms. You're supposed to be able to do that sort of thing, and if you can't, then, it's not a legal nonprofit.
So, yeah, I'll ask my question to Jeremiah, I guess, or to Rose. Is it too late, in your opinion? Things are going to go south with Harris, but is it too late to push the Mises Caucus back to the early Rothbard strategy?
I don't like...
Well,
okay,
year
you
ago,
answer first.
I
I've said a lot.
Definitely not. I got asked to be a state organizer. I'm like, awesome. I can restructure the New York chapter at the very least. However I want. We can recruit base people. I mean, maybe it's still possible. I keep flip-flopping between, do I even bother trying to recruit people, or is it a lost cause? But then I kept seeing more and more people just kicked out for very questionable reasons, and I'm like, is this a lost cause or what? Should I even bother? Why would I want to recruit for these people? I don't know. I don't know, because look, if someone wants to join, I'll still give them the information necessary and help them do so. It's just is it worth it?
So my thing...
I don't honestly know. I just feel the whole thing just feels like such a huge bait and switch.
My thing is this, and this is something that I've said for a long time. No group should name itself after a person. Ever. It shouldn't name itself Marxism is a bad idea. Misesianism is a bad idea.
So don't name yourself Marxism is a bad idea?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just annoying to say, so...
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, don't name yourself after a person, because so if you name yourself after a person...
Because you set yourself up to be tricked into booing that person, yes.
I get it.
It's not just that. It's the fact that, when you do, you've got two things that happen. Either you follow that person in lockstep, and they were guaranteeably not perfect. Or you don't follow that person in lockstep, and why did you fucking call yourself that? And the reason this matters is, the Mises Caucus does not behave in a Misesian fashion, and has not, basically, ever.
Yeah, they booed a bunch when we read Mises.
Yes. And that's what Rose was just referencing, too. So the thing is, the Mises Caucus did not follow Mises originally, and it wouldn't have been awesome if they had done that, because Mises was flawed, and some of his ideas sucked assholes. So for instance, the idea that fascism arguably saved Europe, and yes, that's a partial quote. He did say that,
Okay, yeah, that pisses me off, because people take that completely out of context.
But that first part of it
I have
was...
to debunk that one more time.
But that first part of that was still untrue. Fascism did not, in fact, save Europe. It was very bad for it. And it was very bad in concept as well, because fascism was all about...
That was 1927, though. We didn't, fascism had only just kind of started. So, that was a very premature thing to say.
So is it too late?
Right,
Is
but
my-
no, but that I'm getting to that. The thing that
Okay, yeah.
the thing
I'll
that
shut up.
no, it's not you. The thing is that, like, when we ask if it's too late, I think it was too late to start with. I think it was an ill-formed idea. If you say the Libertarian Party anarchist caucus, that has some teeth, because you're then talking very concretely about what you want. And a huge amount of the people in the Mises caucus were anarchists, and Mises fucking wasn't.
Yeah,
So-
he was a liberal, like a classic liberal.
Which, by the way, I might be getting a stream together with the people from the CLC to see what they have to say about their stuff.
Oh, fun.
But, like, the general thing is that, like, when it comes down to, like, if they called themselves Austrians, the Austrian caucus, that might have had some teeth. Because then they could say, well, we take parts of the Misesian tradition. We also take parts of the of Hayekian tradition. We also take parts from other people who have been celebrated by the Institute. And hell, if they had done that sort of shit and actually demonstrated some fucking competency, maybe Tho Bishop wouldn't have bailed. But the general thing is that, like, they didn't want to demonstrate that competency. They didn't want to, like, actually learn. They didn't want to be held accountable. What they wanted was name recognition. And that's been the problem from the beginning, and it is the problem now. Because the reason they called themselves the Mises Caucus, and I didn't want to think that this was true to begin with, because I wanted to think that maybe there was a thing that actually might do something. I was not a Mises Caucus opponent to begin with, but what they needed to do is actually stick with Misesianism if they were going to do that. They didn't, because they wanted name recognition, because it gave them, and here's a word, relevance. It gave them the ability to say that we are the Mises Caucus, and so we'll uphold the ideas of Mises. Well, bully for you if you actually did that, but you didn't, because it was never really in the cards. You wanted that name recognition. You wanted to ride on the fact that the Mises Institute already had a significant amount of teeth in libertarian circles, and you wanted to be like, yeah, we're just like those people. But it was like, we're just like those people. We're like that person. It's that it's getting that relevance off of it. It's getting that, like, we have said the magic word. We have said the Mises word, and now you will support us. Yes? And that worked for some people. And that worked for enough people that they did this reset. And it worked, that reset worked well
That's part
enough
of it.
that they got to take over the party. And then after they did it, it's like, well, we took over the party. Now what? If they actually followed Misesian tradition and, like, read Human Action, they would know what. They would know that what they should be doing is actually starting to decentralize. They should start to represent the catalactic model of business and human action, rather than the economic cycle of, like, we are all part of the same ecosystem. We are all part of the same household with the same interests. Instead, he said we are parts of different households with different interests, and we are competing. And, like, what that should have done, if they were actually following the Misesian tradition, would be to allow for that competition and do whatever they could to foster that competition, even within their own ranks. They would have understood that their, like, ecosystem, that, like, the ecosystem that had been trying to be built was, like, fundamentally anathema to libertarian principle, and they would have tried to foster a community where people who didn't agree with leadership could still speak there, who didn't agree with certain models could propose theirs. They didn't do that because they didn't actually read Mises. They are not Misesian. They aren't Mises Caucus. They never were. So they were either in lockstep or... And they were either in lockstep, which they never were because they were never followers of Mises, or they were, like, riding the coattails of a name that they could not fill, and therefore they would have done better to, like, name it anything else, like the Austrian caucus at a dead level minimum. And they didn't do any of that, and instead They wrote a name they didn't understand for concepts they refused to understand and adopt, and that's why it failed, because they wouldn't actually be the Mises Caucus. So it's not a matter of, but they shouldn't have done that to begin with, because they shouldn't follow Mises in lockstep. He had flawed ideas as well. He had flawed approaches as well. You know, everybody is flawed. Nobody is perfect. Mises was brilliant. He had really good writings, and people should read them and, like, accept some of what he had to say. But, like, even Mises was flawed, and I could go into great detail on how. The general thing is, though, don't name yourself after a person. Name yourself after a concept by which many people can argue about what the best way to achieve that concept is. Because when you name yourself after a person, you're going to have to just coalesce to what that person believed, and anything that limited them is then going to limit you if you are actually going to follow them. And if you're not, then shut the fuck up about being the Mises Caucus.
So when the Harding-Leatherman ticket wins and we're in power for several years, then you don't want people naming themselves the Harding Caucus down the line?
Please never. I'm a fucking insane asshole. Don't ever name yourself after me. Holy
Good.
shit.
Here's the thing: we could rename. The chair could rename.
No, don't rename it. Start a new fucking thing. Jesus fuck. Be Misesian if you're going to do this. Like, actually, okay,
Why
so...
can't we just forget about the name?
You couldn't do the cool M torch thing.
Yeah,
I always wonder
I
why
don't
they
care
called
about
the
the name.
Rothbard Caucus when it was
No, no,
more Rothbardian
but
than Misesian, but like you
I don't
couldn't
care
do the
about the
cool
name.
torch
Call
with
it
like the M
chicken and
torch
call it
thing.
the chicken and butter
It's
caucus.
not that, though. I'm saying, I'm responding to you directly, Kareem. The chair sucks asshole. Aaron Harris is not a good person, and Angela McArdle enables that. So these people staying in power with a different name, rebranding for a corporate purpose, would not help the integrity of the caucus from a libertarian perspective. All it would do is be the same new layer of paint or gift wrap on the same shit box. It's not real, yo. Don't do that. Start a new thing and outcompete him. Be more Misesian than the Mises Caucus. Prove the catalactic model to be true instead of trying to say that if we repackage the Oikos, we can be fucking awesome. It's not real. The Mises Caucus is rotten to the core, and that systematic rot will not change if they rebrand it to a different name. The only thing that we need to do is get a different and better model, which is what Mises would say.
I'm just putting this out there. The Harding-Leatherman ticket will be staunchly anti-AI.
Yeah.
There will be no AI used for any purpose whatsoever.
Fucking...
Punishable by life in prison.
Yeah.
As an anarchist, all AI users will be in prison for life.
Like, look, I'm not even going off on you, Kareem. What I'm saying is, if you really think that the Mises Caucus should be rebranded, don't rebrand it, because that's just going to keep the people... Then don't talk about changing the name, yo. That's rebranding.
All right, then forget changing the name, whatever the name is. Chicken and butter caucus.
Yeah. No.
I just need
Plant
that.
Caucus, and we're just gonna take over the Takeover Caucus.
I mean, maybe that's what it needs.
Because the
That's
thing...
what I said.
We need enough left libertarians to balance out the right libertarians so we can get some kind of unity going. And then we can actually get some stuff in place that just helps libertarians.
Balancing out libertarians is just a way to get gridlock. Libertarians say no to things. They don't say yes. That's the history.
I mean, isn't that kind of the point, though?
If you want to get nothing done, including not actually decentralizing, sure.
Well, isn't that libertarian unity or anarchist unity?
Anarchist unity does not need a political party. Anarchist unity exists whether or not Libertarian Party does. So when I'm saying, like, anarchist unity, what I'm trying to do, and the whole reason, okay, so here's the thing. I'm not in this so that and I'll shut up because I've been talking a lot, right? I'm not in this, and I'll basically y'all can run the discussion for a bit because I've been saying a lot of words. I'm not in this, like, libertarian discussion. I'm not talking libertarianism because I, like, want the Libertarian Party to succeed. If it does, because they stop being corrupt cunts and like actually listen to what real people are saying, then sure, fine, cool, that'll be icing on the cake, and I'll eat it. Like what I've been eating this whole time has been little bits of frosting from a cup.
What Mike Israel say?
He says it'd be fine as long as I balance it out with like enough exercise that it's fine. You should actually watch him instead of like, you know, your carnivores. But the general thing is that like
Paul Saladino's better.
the general
I still
thing
need to moderate that debate between you guys.
the thing that I'm here for is I'm here to scrape. I'm here to find the people who like have been in a similar position to me. In terms of getting disenfranchised and frustrated with the libertarian system and the way that has never actually resulted in a libertarian outcome or an anarchist future. And I'm here to pull all the people who are frustrated by that toward this position and get them on board with an anarchist future so that we can start doing real decentralized revolution shit. Because that branding was never going to work for this highly centralized and centralist organization that is the Mises Caucus. But it could work for us. We could actually have a decentralized revolution if we stop being cucked by cunts like this. We gotta break away from their model. We gotta take the disenfranchised, the people who are downtrodden, and actually bring them up. If we don't, we have nobody to blame but ourselves for the fucking constant failure. I will shut up now.
I think there's still
Yeah.
potential.
So I think it looks like Trump is up in every single swing state. So unless something happens with the early votes, it looks like Trump's going to win
How are you up in every single state? Wow. That
Oh,
takes a
boy.
every
lot.
single swing state.
Hey, this reminds me of something. I can't say what, but it does remind me of the thing.
But you can, though.
Look, I don't block subjects like that on my channel. If YouTube wants to strike me because I allow multiple opinions, but what I will say is, if we're going to start this particular thing, Kareem, you have 3 minutes to deliver your statement on that particular topic, and then Hody, you have 3 minutes to gather during that time any amount of information you think debunks that, and I'm being serious.
But anyway, my point, I want to go back to my original point because I think it's more important is this.
Okay, Imporntaint.
It's important. Look, there's a bunch of Mad Liberty people, actually, that used to be part of the Libertarian Party that
Yes.
got kicked out or left after the takeover. And I didn't know that because I just thought, hey, we're doing the Ron Paul thing. Well, clearly we're not doing the Ron Paul thing. Even if Ron Paul was advising somebody in the Trump administration, which, okay, whatever. But even if he's doing that, I don't have a lot of faith in the Trump administration to do the right thing. So my thing simply comes down to I want to get the libertarians who were kicked out or left, bring them back. I don't think there was any good reason to do that. I don't want, except Sarwark. And I don't want, and even if there's some gridlock, who cares? Maybe it's a good idea to have a little bit of gridlock because when one side gets too far into their ideas, dumb things happen. Like, case in point, I go into Anarch server. Hey, I do believe in private property. Kicked out. Well,
Why did you say it that way? I mean, come on, man.
I mean, I was literally in a Discord for like 5 minutes, and they said, "What are you?" I'm like, this. And I said, like, look, I believe in private property.
Yeah,
And they
but
kicked
why
me.
did you say it like that? That's what she asked.
I didn't exactly say it like that. They said, "What are you?" And I said, like, well, I believe in a lot of Bookchin's principles, but I also do believe in some, and I forget exactly what I said. And they said, you sounded kind of like an ANCAP. Regardless, I did not expect to get kicked out of, a ANCOM server because I just said, hey, I agree with most
You
of what you're
didn't
saying.
expect to get kicked out of an ANCOM server for saying you believe in private property?
I mean, okay.
I'm sorry, but
Personal.
that's actually
Call it personal property. But literally, I said I believed in
It's
most of what they believed, but I had a difference. And same thing with the ANCAPs too. I'm not saying the ANCAPs are
Oh
dumb.
yeah, they're also annoying.
Because, I'll talk to ANCAPs and I'll say, look, some of these autonomous zones are working and produce more than, no, we can't.
Yeah, no, then you're
They're all commies, helicopter.
Uh-huh.
I think when you get the two sides together, even though they fight each other, they actually have some interesting discussions, and we could do something. And that's, to me, would be the start of kind of what Keith was talking about. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy. All human interactions are messy.
Right.
That being said, I think it's still worth getting those two groups together, the left and right libertarians, because they do come up with some good ideas. And I think the combination, Keith actually does have an article that if you look, it's kind of a yin-yang thing that you need them. If you look at the left would say that anarchy is non-hierarchical relationships in society, and that's what defines an anarchist society. The right libertarians or the market libertarians would say it's adherence to the non-aggression principle and having no institutions that violate those. If you actually look at the broader picture of that, you kind of need both of them. You can't have unjustified hierarchies, which let's call them hierarchies that are seen as unethical. And people get the tankies and some weird people get weird. Like, how exactly do you define a hierarchy that, well, if you have someone like Xi Jinping tankies that's trying to tell a billion people what to do, even if he's the most benevolent dude in the world, he can't know what's good for everybody. So something like that.
They would.
It looks like, excuse me, sorry. It looks like Missouri's abortion ban got voted down. So that's good, at least.
Cool.
They would
Yeah, a lot
they
of
would
these
call
were
Xi
not actually
Jinping
popular.
they would call Xi Jinping hierarchical. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah. So the tanky, but to me, you need the opposition to unjustified hierarchies, because the opposition to unjustified hierarchies makes it more likely that the non-aggression principle will be followed. Not absolute, because we're living in an imperfect world, and there's a lot of things. You know, to me, the contrast, the yin and yang between anarcho-transhumanists and primitivists brings about solar punk. And we can keep going down with this. There's a time for the insurrectionary anarchists. There's a time for the pacifists. Although I don't think I could ever be an anarcho-pacifist as much as I like Tolstoy. There's maybe some discussions to have with these opposite views.
I'm a violent motherfucker. I can't do that, but I can at least promote the ideas.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, and there is an anarcho-pacifist kitty, I think, in your server in EXE. So
I have multiple pacifists in there.
yeah, so that's the thing.
Odie.
So we need.
Oh
those.
no, I am one.
Yeah.
And we need people who are egoists.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have a discussion with Hody, because my friend Brett's they call themselves a subjectivist, and they have a different view on things, and the egoists have a vastly different view on religious principles and individualists maybe than some of the Christian anarchists.
And the egoists are constantly getting stolen from.
Yes. So why not bring the contradictory views together? That's all I'm saying, even if there is some gridlock, because I think we need to do that. Look, the statists are coming together. Whoever wins, the state, I guarantee you, that piece of shit Lindsey Graham, one of the worst humans, is just waiting for whoever to win to be friends with them.
The way he smiles makes him look greasy, and the way he does everything else makes him look worse.
Well, the fact that his name is Lindsay.
Yeah, it's not a
Who
dude.
the fuck names a boy Lindsay?
But my point to bring is, look, if Republicans and Democrats can get together and there's gridlock and fighting, even if it's fake and WWE style, why can't left and right libertarians get together, even if there's some gridlock or issues? Because I think we need to do it.
Because we're all a bunch of maladjusted, neurodivergent social outcasts. That's why.
But we should, if that's the case, and we all believe it, interactions should be voluntary and we're opposed to state power.
All right.
One would think, yes, one would think, wouldn't they?
I think it comes down to this. I think we ignore philosophy. I think we ignore ideology. I think what we do is we focus on good people. Yeah. I think the message of Christianity was unmistakable, and yet we're told in the scriptures and in practice, when we look at history, that Jesus spoke no scriptures publicly. All he did was heal. That was all he did. That's Christianity. The message of healing is Christianity. The message of liberty needs to stop being one of philosophy and start being one of healing. Start being one of saying, I'm going to lift you up when you're down. How's the best way to do that? I don't know. Like, here's the dumbest part about libertarians fighting about this. For some people, they probably would do well in a capitalist society. For some people, they would probably do well in a commune. Who am I to say which one works best for you? Christ didn't collectivize everybody. He was like, I don't know, they're all different people. Some people need me to feed them fish. Some people need me to help them walk. Some people need a doctor. Some people need a lawyer. Some people need whatever it is they need. I will bring that to them, and that's ultimately the solution here. No law is going to be one that we can all agree on. There's never going to be a unification. When is it okay to do violence? When is it okay to not do violence? Hey, how about every time, instead of having this debate, like Jesus had this debate with his apostles behind closed doors. Sure, it's fun. If you want to have that luxury debate, that's fine. But ultimately, what you do in public is who you are. Character matters. This is going to be the thing that unifies us. And we don't need to start establishing like what kind of character. No, as soon as you get into that, you've lost the plot, right? It's funny that libertarians are trying to bind themselves by law, whether it's the non-aggression principle or capitalism or socialism or anarchy or whatever it is. Like we try to like define exactly what freedom is. The beauty of freedom is it's undefinable. This is the advantage to it. The diversity of our thought is going to help us solve any problem that comes before us. As soon as we start looking at any problem and just make it an objective, capitalism's got to fix this somehow, maybe not. Maybe slavery would happen under capitalism. Maybe slavery would happen under socialism. Hey, guess what? It happened under both. So the solution wasn't capitalism or socialism. The solution was freedom for the slaves. The solution for people that are being bullied to death right now is freedom from those who oppress them. The solution for people who are being killed in wars right now, the solution is freedom. This freedom to do what you will as long as you don't harm other people, right? Like to do your best. And as soon as we start getting to these little like, oh, you find a boat in the middle of the desert and it's got some water, but it's not technically your water, but you'll die with that. Stupid, 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 stupid. We all know it's stupid. You drink the water because you deserve to live. As soon as we need to stop thinking with our heads and start thinking with our hearts. I'm not saying we sever our brains and lobotomize ourselves. But here's the thing. Everybody personality-wise that can be a libertarian right now we've done so much philosophy. We've done so much logic. Nobody debates that we're the most logical people on this planet Earth. What they do debate is we're also the most hateful people on this planet. Until that stops, we will lose. And this needs to be how we draw people in, is say character matters. Culture matters. One of love, one of respect, one of goodness. And you know what? As soon as we start having to define exactly the particulars of love and respect and goodness, well, then that person's probably not for us. We don't want you to be dipping a toe into the well of hate. I don't need you to, how much racism is okay? How many lies is it okay? No. Repent of all of it. I'm not calling for perfect people. We've all sinned. I've been a misogynist at some point. I've been homophobic, right? Like I am a reformed person.
Same, bestie.
This is the part 2 of this, right? Is yes, we need to be focused on character over philosophy. Part 2 is we need to stop saying either you're in or out. We need to be able to have a program that says, hey, you're really close. You're still keeping that toe dipped in that racism, right? You still got a toe dipped in that, like, I don't like poor people or they scare me. I've still got a toe dipped into the pool of, ooh, immigrants. They're kind of smelly and gross, right? All right. They've got the toe there. So do we just push them the rest of the way in, or do we draw them out? We need to develop programs that says, if you're racist, we're not going to ignore it, right? Which is what what one faction of liberty tries to do. Try to ignore that racism until it absolutely consumes them, or even highlight it as like, oh, it's funny. Like that's an advantage to us, right? But we're also not going to push them into the pool of racism like the other side wants to do. Well, the reason both these failed is they didn't develop programs. Churches succeed because they have missionary programs, people that aren't there yet. We understand you might not be there on liberty, but you can be, and we can get you there. And so we need to be able to say like, hey, this guy's got a little race science thing going on. Let's get some people to talk to them. We need actual, legitimate, heartfelt missionaries in the liberty movement. And once we combined the culture and character, as well as missionary work, we will have a successful party. When everybody says their best friend is a libertarian, nobody is going to support any rules that would harm the libertarians. This has been true for any other group throughout society. People don't want to kill their best friends. They kill their enemies. That's why they make them out to be enemies. So we need to focus on just being better people. And I think that that's really the solution to unity.
You mean
Anyhow,
being
that's
a
my
party
soapbox.
of principle? Damn.
I mean, the principle love, but yeah.
So apparently there were just over 98,000 write-ins in New York.
Oh boy. Here we
And
go.
I mean, in a state of, oh God, I don't even remember how many million, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad compared to the total voting population, but that's actually not out of the ordinary for the total number of write-ins.
But do you guys think? I agree with Hody. Bring in good people. Bring in people who have moral character and people who oppose the state. But we're going to have different ideas, and we're going to. I think there's two things that work. As long as the initiation of force is wrong, which most people do, and as long as we agree to oppose huge centralized structures, I think we can make it work. I think those are the only two things you need. Now, obviously, people are going to have different ideas on technology. You know, me and Jeremiah don't agree. Like, I use a little bit of AI. He's opposed to it.
Well, if you didn't use AI, you might be able to say things like Jeremiah and I instead of me and Jeremiah.
Oh my god.
Oh, ouch.
Hey, ChatGPT said I could say Jeremiah, me and Jeremiah, or Jeremiah and I.
See, you
Dude,
just auto-corrected yourself to the wrong one.
Yeah, but it's midnight. I don't care. I'm not doing this grammar stuff. But
That's
we
true.
have
I'm a
different-
cunt at all times of day, though.
Yeah, that is true. But that's my thing. Look, if we have disagreements, who gives a fuck? It all that matters is, hey, you're not going to initiate violence, and you're not going to build a huge central institution to have an illegitimate hierarchy to start it. If we can do those two things,
So I like what you're saying, Kareem. But what I'm trying to impress upon you is that we fall into Jeremiah's trap about like the decentralization, right? We say what we're not going to do. Well, that's not a plan. I think if we say we're going to feed the needy, we're going to we're going to visit those in prison, we're going to help those who have been caged by by crimes, or by victimless crimes. If we give ourselves some goals that are positive, that's actually something that everybody can latch onto. We don't need to say how we're going to do it, right? Release the nonviolent offenders. Some people are going to say blow a hole in the wall. Some people are going to say hire a lawyer. Some people are going to say change the laws, whatever it may be. But I think that enables the freedom aspect to attack that issue on all sides. Does that make sense, Scream? I want you to finish your point. I'm just trying to say that, like,
I'm gonna let
trying
you
to give
finish,
it a positive thing.
I think we need, okay, I agree with your point. I think we need a basis on, like, let's say this. Hody left. What the heck, Hody? Hody, can you hear me?
You scared him off.
Yeah, I scared Hody. What the heck, man?
He'll probably be back relatively shortly. I think he just walked away for like. I saw a look on his face that indicates, if I were to guess, he will be back in about 18 seconds. So if I'm right, then 16.
This is a conspiracy theory.
Well, yeah, I'm also a conspiracy theorist.
He's just using like Facebook logic to predict when people have to pee.
No,
He gathers
actually,
that kind of information and can predict these things with relative accuracy.
I don't actually think he did that. I think he had something with his family, which makes me think he'll be back in about 5 seconds.
Oh, okay.
If I'm wrong, though, it'll be funny. 2, 1, 0.
It's too close to call. Too close to call.
Yeah, no, I was wrong. But
That
so
means I'm probably right.
I was gonna say is like, okay, if I go to Hody's church, or if I say, hey, I'm gonna be part of Jeremiah's anarchy house, we need to establish a basis of rules first. Or if I'm gonna be part of EXE, we need to establish, or Mad Liberty or Nesus, we need to establish some basis of something. We need to have some basis. I can't pop in Jeremiah's server and be like, I hate trans people. I don't think that would work well.
I mean, I'm kind of tempted to say this just to see what happens.
Yeah, he'll ban you as well happen, and there'll be a big argument because actually my friend.
I mean, I'm an agent of chaos. What can I say?
My friend Ben Heckman did that, and it was just a long hour. He came in one day and said, "I want to be Batman when I was 3," and it was not good because that did not go over very well. And then he did eventually get in, but I don't know.
But ever since then, he's been weirdly aligning with the people against me. So
Yeah,
Wait, who's this guy?
he's my friend Ben Heckman.
Oh, Ben
On the ASIS
Artist,
caucus. Yeah,
the one that just like talks shit occasionally.
yeah. He does talk shit, and I knew that, but he's cool, dude.
well, we'll see. Because
I mean,
there's a
I
lot of
talk
people.
shit too, so
There's a lot of people you've said are a cool dude who were not. So if he's willing to actually talk, then we can talk. But like, I literally tagged him and he had nothing to say. So I don't even know why he's still in there. Like, what, to monitor like what I'm doing so that he can eventually talk shit on some element of it.
that's what it seems like.
So that doesn't seem like a cool dude to me. I would advise talking to him if you want better impressions. So
All right, so I'm gonna get going. It looks like it's gonna be very, very close. It's gonna come down to 3 states.
Too close.
So far, Trump's winning, but they haven't called. They haven't pulled a lot of the high population centers, and there's a bunch of mail-in votes to count as well. So I mean, it kind of looked like this last time, and Joe Biden won at like 2 a.m. But I mean, the circumstances were different. That was there was COVID and all that. A lot more mail-in votes. There's a lot less this time.
now there are female in votes.
Yeah. So.
But like,
So I'm gonna get going.
Before you do,
yeah.
general impressions on the discussion. Like, you're free to say as much as you want.
I think. I think what Hody said sounded smart to me. I think focusing on issues, getting away from weird fringe philosophy that nobody cares about, and absolutely zero tolerance for racism and Christian nationalism, and
yeah, because like you've been watching this, like you didn't say much this stream, but you've been watching like for a while now, and like seeing, for instance, what Mike Rechtenwald has been saying about the Jews, and
not good,
and like you've been watching all this happen, and it disenfranchised you from the liberty movement in general. Like
at least,
yeah.
One thing people can say about Chase all day. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, because JD's got a book. So, do you mind discussing that briefly? Just discussing like what puts you off of the liberty movement and why, and like what you think it could do better. Because like, and like, I really do hope you get thorough on this because your perspective is valuable in this regard.
I think the liberty movement, I defended them. I think the movement in general more than I should have. Like, I defended them on like the weird right wing jokes that's some of these frankly fringe podcasts. Like there's one about the Holocaust. It's like 6 million seems a little high or something like that. I thought that was a joke. It seems less and less like that's a joke. And it seems like more and more of the party is of that mind, is of that line of thinking. They're just like weird right wingers, or they're shifting that way. And it seems like the party is shifting right, trying to form some kind of coalition with the Trump movement. And there's like this weird like Peter Thiel, JD Vance, like Elon Musk as well. There's just this weird shift towards like a very nerdy authoritarianism, like justified with like of course, Hoppe doesn't even like these guys, but like justified with Hoppe's sort of argument for like monarchism, there seems to be a shift towards the. So Hoppe argued something like monarchism is better than democracy, but anarchy is better than monarchism. A lot of people in the Libertarian Party seem to have taken the position that, well, anarchy is impossible, so if monarchy is better, then we're going to go with monarchy. And I don't think monarchy is better, and I think monarchy is significantly worse, and I'm not okay with that shift. I think that's broadly what's happening for me.
Like and like the other half of it, they're so willing to have these terrible aesthetics and terrible optics, because a lot of them are that way, and they would rather court those people than the people that they find to be disgusting. And so we get a whole lot of people who are also of that mentality, who don't like the gays or abortion or like
I feel like also it's for some of these people, it's not even that, it's more cynical than that. It's like that, it's not even that they hate the gays, it's like they feel like they have to win over these weird like hillbilly Trump supporters who would probably actually vote Democrat if like the Democrats were running like a progressive campaign on like Medicare for all and like free college and shit, like, but they're going Republican because the Democrats aren't doing that, and they're like, well, I don't like trans people, and neither party's helping my material conditions, so I'm just going to go with the party that like also hates trans people.
It's like, oh, attaboy, yeah, the Haitians are eating the cats.
Yeah, like conservatives hate trans people, but they don't hate trans people like enough to justify voting for that on a single issue, unless like that's the only issue that's relevant, I guess.
Right.
Because like Democrats have ceded ground on basically every topic except for abortion.
Yeah, and like at this point, like the fucking Peanut the Squirrel situation, where they're
what the fuck is that?
They're acting like oh, it's the Democrats. No, it's not. And
I mean, okay,
and you mother
Democrat-controlled state. This is just state overreach in general.
And you
motherfuckers. I
motherfuckers.
said in a nutshell, and then I.
We need to fight for Peanut.
Oh my god.
And you motherfuckers want to give police immunity to prosecution. That's what Trump wants.
Back the blue. Okay, who the fuck do they think was the one that seized Peanut and killed him?
Yep.
Fucking morons. Ugh. God, it makes me angry.
Back the blue until you think.
Like so many of the Libertarian Party people, like they've gotten like disillusioned with the whole idea of libertarianism actually allowing them to accomplish anything. So they've bought into this idea that, okay, well, there's going to be somebody in power, there's going to be a state, so therefore it's better that we control it than, say, our enemies control it, which, okay, I mean, I get it. It's like, I mean, I get where they're coming from, it's just that never ends well, okay? And the very people who want to be in control of the state are the very people you do not want in control of anything.
Yeah, and JD is like super reasonable, and he was pushed away from these people. Like, I'm an insane person. I've been like the consistently more edgy and extremist person in our like small friend group, like JD, myself, and a few other people. I've been consistently pretty much the one who's been like, yeah, let's do violence. And he's still been
how long did it take you to get to that stage though?
To the let's do violence? That way? Oh, I've been violent since I was 14. Okay. I'm not making that up. Like, I've been homicidally, like, suicidally violent since I was 14. And like you're like, you're saying this on a stream in public. Yes, I am, because I think it's important to be honest. Like, ever since my like hyper hormonal, hyper metabolic genetic structure started to like really be what it is. I've been fucked in that regard. Like, it's one of the reasons I've been listening to Mike Israetel a lot lately, because he's like, he talked about the way roids make you feel and their physiological effects on a scientific level, and I'm like, that's just me on a normal level. And so I've been like trying to follow his regimens and routines, and it's actually been working. I've been getting better gains because I've been working out like a steroid user, even though I don't do any. So it's clearly there.
But like, You can at least direct this at the correct
Right.
targets, right?
I hope so. I mean, sometimes I am not. Sometimes I lash out completely unneeded. Sometimes it's been at you, Rose. Sometimes it's been at Kareem. So like, I'm not
Yeah.
fucking perfect, but like,
You're a
I
wiener.
but like the general. No, that's Anthony. The general thing is like, I think the general mentality should be,
General thing.
don't try to fucking alienate people like JD, because he was fairly fucking moderate. He was always trying to like, get on the right page with people. Like he's bridge built in a variety of ways that I have not. So
Mhm.
like,
Yes, that would be a very bad idea if someone did that.
yeah. So I just, it's like with this situation, I think the reason I want to know what you have to say with the situation, JD, I want to know what your message is to the libertarian movement before you book, because I think that's been a thing that you've been watching closely recently. Like, and you've been watching Matthias's reports. You've been watching the things that various people in there have tagged you in. Not to name any names and potentially drop any sources, but like the general shit is like, you've been seeing that, probably the general issues. So, general overview. What do you think is the best course of action for the liberty movement?
I think the liberty movement broadly should value truth more than it currently does. A lot of people are very comfortable believing things that like feel right, or just completely like disregarding academic sources and journal, like the mainstream media lies about stuff, but as at the end of the day their job is just to like sell ads, and like if they're like wrong about everything, like they're not going to sell as many ads, so there is like a financial interest there to be somewhat accurate. um like so when you take the position that everything is fake, like you come to really insane conclusions that make you look like a weirdo to like everyone else. And also you come to conclusions that are just straight up wrong. um um I don't think we should dismiss pollsters. These people do this for a living. um I like it would be as absurd as like people making baseless claims about whatever you personally do for a living. Garbage workers are making up it's just no. These people do a job. Like some of them are proud of what they do. Like I don't think they're fucking making shit up. I don't think polls are fake. At least you can argue some are bad, but like I don't think polls are fake. I don't think you know all these these culture war issues. I think there's a lot of anti-intellectualism, and there's a lot of like anti elitism. Like it's disguised as anti-elitism, but it's really just like anti-facts, that like contradicts what I think is going on because of
Right.
my algorithm.
Yeah, like, just real quick, an aside, because I want you to continue this. It's a good thread to pull. Like, example, recently, the Lara Croft series. The new
Yeah.
Lara Croft series on Netflix is fucking excellent. People should watch it. And it's TV-14. You can show this to your kid if you don't mind them seeing a guy die with a bullet hole in his brain. It's excellent television. It's got some plot holes I don't really like, but like those are super minor. And the general gist is that like, if you want something that has credible storytelling and like actually has some character impact over 30-minute episodes, like 10 of them, watch it. It's actually good. But you know what the majority of right wingers were sore about?
She doesn't have triangular boobs anymore.
Triangular or just large enough, and she also doesn't have like she I guess we lost Hody. Um,
Aw.
she doesn't have like triangular or large enough boobs, and she's also muscular.
I
So
mean, within her line of work, you kind of wind up with
yes,
a muscular physique.
and they're angry that they gave her actual real muscles, and I'm like, no, in fact, that makes it fine. It makes it better. I'm gonna message Hody, but like, it just I feel like that's a good example of what you're talking about, and a whole bunch of libertarians were on board. Fucking, of course, like Mr. Dapperton was on board. I have to avoid saying like the thing, but like generally speaking,
Oh, you can't say Keith P.
yeah, no, definitely don't. Um, the
Hmm.
general like gist is so many of these people were like big on board with the facts don't care about your feelings, and then when the
Yeah.
facts contradict their feelings, they're just like or they'll just assume that the facts will align with their feelings, uh and so they'll just avoid something like they're gonna claim that she has. And then like here's a real good example of that. Like they posted a fake image of the actor who plays her, and this image was like massively jacked up, and I could immediately tell it because the background was distorted. I could tell that this background was supposed to have straight lines, and it gave the characteristic Instagram boob bulge, where like if an Instagram model is like enlarging her assets, you can see the background distort. So it's like I could already tell that somebody did this to this, and so I reversed image searched it, and it was fine. She was not that heavy chested, and it looked closer to the drawing of Lara Croft than it did to the giant chested like woman who was altered in the picture. So it's like you done fucked up. But so many of these people
Mm-hmm.
just don't care about that. They don't care that they're lying. And they'll get community noted, they'll get fact checked, they'll get so much shit like that, right? But they won't change. They'll just keep it going because they're learning from the best, like Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Go ahead. I thought that was a good thing to bring up.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I don't know. I guess focusing on real issues. I don't think the idea of building coalitions is bad. I think coalitions with authoritarian movements is bad generally.
Uh-huh.
So maybe avoid doing that. But I'm not against coalitions in general. If they're done for like good causes, like ending the wars and you know ending prohibition. I think the libertarians that are interested in building coalitions are largely building coalitions with the wrong people, and a significant amount of libertarians are completely fine with just not doing anything and just vibing in their little club. And I don't know which ones are worse. But I'm kind of just done with the whole thing.
Fair, very fair.
And it's like what
Don't waste your time on it. Yeah, don't be like those of us who got involved.
do you mind just briefly saying what precipitated this understanding?
Water precipitates.
I don't know. I think COVID kind of broke a lot of people's brains, myself included.
Yep.
And then like while COVID was happening, I kind of just realized that like everyone like what you believe is based off of what your algorithm shows you. And there's a bunch of contradictions. Like Trump's the one that pushed masks and approved the vaccine, but Trump's supporters are all anti-vax, and the Democrats are pro-vax, even though at first they were anti-vax. It seems like, you know, what your position on that was, you know, was determined by your political leanings, and libertarians kind of went on, well, like that's just one example, but like that kind of got the ball rolling, and I don't know, I changed my mind on a few important issues like climate change, and I saw how like the case for like, you know, the scientific understanding of climate change is pretty strong, and like anti-climate change people have basically nothing to stand on at all, and are literally just lying about the data, and just ignoring like established science for the sake of fucking fracking billionaires and oil billionaires. And that's like something that is like objectively bad for our planet, and like will fucking kill a lot of animals and displace a lot of people. Like if we have some of the worst projections, we're on track to have some pretty bad ones. Like, and that's a done deal. Like there's nothing we can do about like some of these you know, issues that we're going to start having within the next, you know, 10, 20 years. We could do things to stop that, to make it less bad now, but it's not going to be, it's going to be like decades by the time we start seeing any kind of positive change. We're already fucked on that one, but like a lot of libertarians are gonna just completely ignore the that issue, or they are like rabid on the like climate change isn't real thing.
Can
So
So there's like issues like that where I like looked into more, and it's like obviously that the like libertarian movement in general is wrong on, and I feel like I shifted more, and I'm more interested in like practical paths to victory, and like, you know, I don't know, actually doing something, and I don't see, even in like the most well-meaning members of the Libertarian Party, I don't see anything actually happening. And the ones that are doing stuff, I see like bad stuff happening.
right.
So
Yeah, I know you gotta go, JD, but I was gonna challenge on one thing. I don't know if I'm a climate change environmentalist type person, because a lot of the bourgeois liberals have kind of claimed that, but what I do believe in is social ecology. Like, if we take actions to, let's say, make sure the bees don't die, I agree with Jeremiah where I didn't before. Lawns are kind of status constructs. Not that they violate the NAP, but okay, let's get more vegetables. Let's restore what we can of the ecological environment that we're in. Being an environmentalist, do you think it's possible to reverse a lot of these bad effects? And by doing this, because I really do believe, my friend Zachary Marlowe is making a film. Well, I'm making a cryptocurrency course to make some money, obviously, but then I'm going to give some proceeds to him, and he's coming up with a film to show how we can prevent some of these bad things from happening. I think some of these are going to happen anyway, but I think we can do a pretty good deal, like on the, I guess for lack of a better word, the libertarian left, to mitigate these problems as much as possible. Or are we just doomed?
I think that was.
I don't know that we're just doomed. I mean, I climate change is pretty fucking bad, but I don't think we're just doomed. I think eventually, you know, enough people will start caring that some kind of action will be done on that, but it will probably be too late for a lot of the like stuff that we absolutely could have prevented. I think like solutions will not come from the libertarians though.
Well, it comes from the left libertarians. All you need to do is convince. Here's another thing. There's kind of a dichotomy. There's a lot of right libertarians that are focused on profit. You know, make money, the market, all that type of stuff. What if we can convince them that Austrian economics is quintessential with social ecology? Meaning, okay, fine, you want free markets, you want to thrive, you want other generations to work. It's not going to happen if the bees die out. You're not going to have Austrian economics without bees because you'll all be dead. Because
So, in other words, you're saying that so-called Austrian economists need to learn low time preference behavior?
Yeah,
yes, and respect for
I actually understood that sentence.
social ecology. Yes, low time preference and respect for social ecology. I don't think people realize, like, if the bees are gone, we're gone too.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well, they don't believe that the V's are gone. They don't even know that because their algorithm
Or
told
they
them
don't
that climate
believe
change
that
isn't
the bees
real.
are needed.
Yeah, because they're too busy looking at Harris and Trump and this and that, and who is saying something stupid on Twitter and all that, and all the goofy type of things. I mean, granted, it's entertaining, but like they're not thinking about the big issues, and that's really what I find kind of depressing is that when it comes to real big issues, like the bees dying out, who cares? Gaza, that's not important. But something like, we'll get, no tax on tips, or no tax on overtime, which is nice. It can make a difference, very small difference, but they don't care about like
If we just had like higher wages, that would be way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me equal wages. I don't care about Gaza. I don't care about the bees. Oh, hey, why is everything dying around me? Why is totalitarianism increasing? Oh, I don't care about the Patriot Act. So that's my thing. That's why I also want to get libertarians together, because a lot of left libertarians are big on social ecology, but they don't have the money to get their ideas out there. So I'm like trying to crowdfund for them. And a lot of right libertarians, they do have the funds, the liquidity, if you would say.
The Liquid Zulu.
But yeah, like Liquid Zulu.
No.
It's not that Liquid Zulu's not that bad. But
Yes,
like,
he is.
Did you invite Liquid Zulu on the show? That would have been funny.
yeah,
I mean, yes,
let's
yes,
get Liquid
please.
Zulu on
That
us.
would be great.
It would be amusing to see how he is without his like notepad publicly displayed. But
I
I
was
have
gonna
Because
ask.
but I have
no,
a
because
Would
I
he
think his
allow
whole
to
thing.
write
I think his
notes?
whole thing is he only does stuff on his show. So I think
and he does
probably
that
would
that
say
way
that.
so that he can load his audience
Yeah.
against the person speaking, and he also silences and censors people when they're in the chat, like because that's the thing. Like I think your analysis about ANCAPs and truth is really good, because a significant amount of libertarians do not have a good relationship with the truth. They will post Sean Adel Tabatabai articles. They'll post the headlines without ever actually like proving that the headlines are true. They'll post New York Post. They'll post Daily Mail. They'll post a Tim Pool segment where he's just reading also Sean Adel Tabatabai, New York Post or Daily Mail, and that's his content. And then also lying a bunch about what it says, and then ignoring what is inconvenient to his points. Like, libertarians need to be better about this, and I've constantly said it. I've said that liberty without truth is impossible, and truth without liberty is useless. It's there because if you don't have the ability if you don't have the liberty to use your true information, then it's fucking useless. And if you don't have the true information or a desire to get it, you will end up being controlled by lies and dishonesty and misinformation and bullshit, and you'll never get liberty. So it's if you're not doing both, you can't have either. It doesn't work. And so many of these people are just totally okay with lying. Literally, I have Dan Smots of The System Is Down, the guy who's making the videos for Dissident Media, which is fucking not dissident at all. I have Dan Smots telling me that I'm coping for liberty by saying that, fucking Chase went on Twitter.
God.
He said Chase went on podcasts and he went to more than Pride parades, and that
Why are you coping so hard?
and that he
Jeez.
was underfunded by the LNC and illegally opposed by many affiliates and leadership. And he says that that's cope. because he
Yeah, one of the major parties, the idea that one of the major parties is going to have your interests at heart is totally not cope. Though.
right. Trump will be better this time. Promise. He'll just hit me less hard and maybe a little bit further from the eyes. Just shut the fuck up. These people need to shut the fuck up. And then when I said, oh, facts are now cope, he just replied with a fucking laugh cry emoji because that's all he has. He doesn't actually have any facts. Like, facts,
And
truth,
don't care about your feelings.
facts, truth, reason, empathy, none of these things matter, and all of these things are fundamental principles
How
that,
come
that an
dissident
alleged,
media
like,
ignores
party
things?
of principle should support.
Yeah, dissident media. I don't know who's running that. If it's Michael Heiser or Dan Smots,
It's
I haven't
it's-
reached out to them to talk to them. But
It's
they
Heiss
haven't.
and Smots are the two main people, and I can tell that because Smots was the one doing the videos linked to his Vimeo page, and like also like they look exactly like Dan Smots videos, and then like Michael Heiss is the one who's like pumping out most of the content, and it's his old account. So it's Michael Heiss and Dan Smots, and then a few other people are also writing articles for it. So I'm assuming that other people also have either access to the accounts or they're just like getting jacked off by these people for free. So like the whole deal, like libertarians and facts. This has been something that I've been on that shit for fucking 800 years, and they have not listened to me. So I
That's
vibe with
impressive.
that.
You've been alive 800 years?
Yeah.
You only look like you're like 25.
Well,
Yeah.
ironically, there have been people who've done that thing where they find like an old picture at various points and they've said, this looks like you, and I mean, it did. I promise I'm not like literally 800 years old, but if I was
You're not a vampire?
if I was 800 years old, I would probably say that I'm not because I didn't want to get uncovered. Also, Trump just bumped up from 230 to 246. He just needs 270 to win. So, like, yeah, other than truth, is there anything? And I know it feels like I'm stringing you along. I'm not trying to. I
Yeah.
just really want to get this information. Like, is there...
I think I don't know, just in general. I remember in 2020 with the BLM shit, and the Boogaloo stuff very early on. I kind of drank the Kool-Aid on that. I guess I thought that there was like some real momentum there, for like a coalition with the left, and then the Kyle Rittenhouse thing happened, and it just destroyed it. And Boogaloo Boys were painted as fascists. A lot of Boogaloo Boys were actually just fascists. And the right, the libertarians decided that they were more interested in being anti-left than they were in opposing the state. And I think probably that was always the case, and I was just coping. But I deluded myself into thinking that there was some real unity on this issue, and it doesn't. I don't think it was ever really there. I think just a few people that I like on Twitter, and that was it.
Yeah, and then of course, like, you saw various other people being shared around, and then one of them, that freckled Liberty chick, you see her now, and she's tweeting like literal it's just racism.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is where we are. And Trump is now 247 over 246, so he just won another elector from somewhere.
Yeah. It's going to come down to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
Oh boy.
Typical. Yeah, this is bringing back memories.
And what we've got is 90% reporting in Pennsylvania, 51 to 47.8. But it's like,
wow.
And in Michigan we've got 52.3 versus 46, but only 60%. 85 in Wisconsin, 51.4, 47.2.
I'm gonna go to bed and see what happens.
Well,
yeah.
Before y'all go to bed, because I know we're probably wrapping it up. Y'all are way more tired than I am. I'm just gonna real quick. Multiple
Mhm.
things. First off, I'm gonna need closing statements because I was gonna wrap this, but we've got some comments that we should address. Liberimer said, "I'm still shocked that it looks as if Trump managed to flip Minnesota. Never thought I'd live to see a red Minnesota." Um,
Happened in
and
2016.
yeah,
What?
and my granddad cried because Trump allegedly wanted to abolish Social Security. Yeah, right. Um,
Yeah, right. If only that were true.
I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota flipped, but who knows?
And like I've heard it said before that this election is going to build a big igloo. What do y'all think of that?
We've been
I just said
hearing
what I
that.
thought of that. No.
Yeah, we've been hearing that for a long time. So, if as nice as that sounds, I doubt it.
What
Yeah.
is a? Yeah, I don't want to build a big igloo. That sounds weird.
Liberimer says, "I've seen most people here in Minnesota, except for on the fucking subreddit, fucking hate Walsey because he lied to us to get into power, and we remember that. That and then
Does he mean Minnesota? He said. Okay.
yeah.
No, I don't think Minnesota's going red. That's insane.
Um,
They haven't counted like where's the big area? Milwaukee, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
This map looks a little familiar to something. I just can't say.
Um,
what.
Liberimer also says he fearmongered about the rising crime. Sorry, not he, but the fearmongering about the rising crime rate and homelessness in Minneapolis. Conservatives fearmonger on. So I've seen.
It was Minneapolis, not Milwaukee.
So I've
Never
seen
mind.
a growing red trend here. He also says the anti-woke grift has the backlash against him because Walz made Minnesota an abortion and trans sanctuary, which is an interesting concept. Boog News Network came back in and said there's much in the way of marketing, but not in substance. He also said that, which is I think a thing that JD would agree with. Boog also said that Kareem should raise his chair slightly or lower his camera angle. And then proceeded to say, suggestion, pick whatever form of voluntary association works in the moment. A la carte anarchism, that's part of what my coalitionism is. Aesthetic is important to larger numbers of people in spite of the value or function. Then went off about how AI is awesome. Maybe, Boog, if you're still in chat, let's do a debate. I will like speak out strongly against AI. Reinhold says the Enlightenment ideas are done. We're a populist country now. It was the young male dude bros that came out and probably won this election for Trump. That group
That's
is always,
also a thing, yeah.
that group
That
is
is the most blue-pilled thing I've ever heard.
that group has always been.
I mean, no offense. I'm just like, yeah. If Trump won, it's because he was allowed to win.
I can agree to that, but I think it's partly like he needed to build that base in order to make it seem realistic. Otherwise, nobody would believe it, not even the elites.
I don't think the
Maybe.
elites.
So, Reinhold also says that group has always been a part of the liberty movement when we were attached to the old right groups throughout the past decades. This is more like 2016 instead of 2020. Harris is up in Minnesota 50 to 47 now. I didn't know that. But, like, Boog says he's down for... she actually... because I know too many fucking people, I don't... This is gonna sound really shit. I don't remember who you are other than Boog News Network. Which I feel really bad about. Unless this is...
Network.
Yeah, but like, hit me up on Twitter. Remind me. I apologize. I talk to thousands of people on a routine basis, and it's a flaw of mine that I don't remember who the most consistent people in my circles are, and you have been constantly in like my chats.
Ouch.
I remember like your name as Boog News Network, and I don't remember why. So yeah, all right, we'll talk on Twitter. I'm Insanity is free over there in case my username was Fergalton. But yeah, like We could debate on it because I'm always willing to debate the AI thing. I've gone through like 4 or 5 other debates.
Yeah, AI is super based.
No. And LeBarimer says, I blame the ATF. The ATF has wiped my memory. The ATF came in with a memory wipe gun and just removed your name.
Where did BTY go, who used to say, do you hate the ATF?
Yeah, right?
Friends with him?
Yes.
He eloped with my mom.
He's dating your mom.
It was a running joke. He would constantly make comments about my mom.
Well, he's better than you. It's
Wow.
BTY.
I hope they're happy together.
Either
Oh.
way, it does look like. Boog says solid copy. I agree with Kareem with caveats. Like any new things that are dangerous. We'll have that maybe we'll do an AI panel at some point, and I can hold my own against like a variety of people. See if I can like it'll be like that thing that Shapiro did. It'll be like it was called Surrounded or some shit, and he had a bunch of like Free Palestine people surrounding him, and like it was like if you didn't know what it was or that it was a safe environment, it might seem weirdly anti-Jew because you've got like one Jew in the middle, and it's just like fucking anyway. Yeah, it's. By the way, we have been on the stream for 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna save America.
Well, let's see. Mine is I'm just saying like 3 hours and 40 something minutes, but I guess that's from before we started streaming.
Yeah, we've been on the
3
call
hours
for
and-
nearly 4 hours.
Yeah.
So we're all gonna just bounce once this thing like cuts. But with all that being said, first off, want to thank y'all for tuning into this weird schizo bullshit. I think that this thing relatively well establishes Trump's impending victory. It wouldn't surprise me if during the closing statements we get more numbers ticking up. But like we'll start with let's say we'll start Kareem, Rose, JD closing statements. Because y'all are both on the Est Coast, so I figure that's the most fair.
Je did.
Well,
Am I
no,
first?
Kareem, Rose,
Oh,
JD.
okay. All right. Hey, it's JD Vance. He's like, oh boy, I have a nice beard and I want to join Skull and Bones and fight a rain.
JD Vance's beard isn't really that nice. It seems like he fills it in.
Yeah, it's not very. It's kind of scraggly.
So you wouldn't date him?
Probably not.
All right. Well, what if he was an ANCAP man and ANCAP stan?
Depends on the type of ANCAP, I guess.
He's a Hawkian. He's like, hey, girl, I got a gated community.
JD Vance owns like 80 mattress firms. That's his secret side hustle.
Oh my god.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and he's doing bad things to the couches. All right. You can find me, Kareem6633 on Twitter.
And like 40 of them are in the same town.
When you grow up in a small town. What was I going to say? Okay, find me on Twitter, 6633, a battle evil. Check out Attack the System, Anarch Unity. We'll be pumping out some content for that. And also the Essential Libertarians. And yeah, let's rock this thing. We are, and we need to bring Mises back to early Rothbard strategy, whatever you call that, by having them read the statement of purpose from Attack the System.
That it?
I think that's it.
You're like, I'm too tired to remember like how to make like some extreme rant. This is all you get.
Right. Yeah. Wish I could put together a heartfelt rant that, that would leave you all speechless. But I'm just not that original. So I'll just say, yeah, you all know where to find me by now. Thank you for having me. Glad we were able to have this little election night discussion, and I'm sure you'll see me again on this channel soon.
Lots more to cover. I feel like this might be the like we'll do this stream and maybe I don't know. This might be the stream this week because this is a fucking long ass stream.
Yeah.
But we'll plan something soon. I want to start. So the thing is, before we hit JD, I just want to just briefly say, we're doing like I want to start now that the election is over. Basically, I want to start doing things that aren't about fucking elections. I still think that covering some of the Libertarian Party corruption might be good. Maybe we'll do like an LP watch stream like once or once a month or so like that. But I want to start covering theory. I want to start covering things that are like actually like broad-based and far-reaching. I want to bring this channel back to where it was before I started to be an LP weirdness. Because like I've done the scrape. The scrape is here. Whatever has been scraped is scraped. So, and I'm sure JD would prefer to discuss actual shit rather than so Rose Kareem actual shit rather than hey Angela McArdle's a fucking cunt.
I don't really care to talk about the Libertarian Party over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
because
if there's something new that happens, like I mean, I'm happy to come on. I'm happy to come on and talk about it. But like, I mean, in general, it's usually like maybe 1/3 or so of all streams, so it doesn't bother me. But I'm happy to report on what I do know. But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy the theory discussions.
I'm also generally annoyed more than other people. I have fucking psychological issues.
I mean, I'm frequently annoyed.
Well,
yeah.
So
I want to go over stuff on attack the system, statement of purpose, all this stuff. This election doesn't really mean anything because, like,
it means 42.
It means 42.
Yeah,
But
life, the universe, and everything. That's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy joke.
So my question is, what if we start going over stuff on attack the system and start actually building something? That's one thing that the right doesn't do. Like that's why I think the Mises Caucus went like this, because
and make it fast, because JD is probably like hanging like a fish.
It's super fast. The left anarchists, they do something pretty cool. They build stuff. They build collectives, cooperatives. I don't care if it's not like super fancy. But on the right, we're not building anything. We have economic theory. And then we just latch on to a presidential candidate or that. I don't want to do that. I actually want to build something. And how we start building something is learning from Keith and all that stuff. That being said, that's my whole thing. And yeah, we'll see what happens when we get up in the morning.
Yeah, and JD is dying.
Yeah, so it looks like Republicans have picked up 2 seats in the Senate. Democrats have lost 2 seats in the House so far. They already had a minority in the House anyway. So it looks like the Republicans are going to have all 3 branches of government. So that's cool.
Fun.
And the people that held Trump back from murdering protesters and shit last time are not going to be in his cabinet anymore. So yeah, maybe he'll free Ross though. So yeah, that's what. So cool. Thanks.
Libertarian in the cabinet. We promise.
So
I just can't wait to see who it's gonna be.
We'll get Robert Kennedy to take the fluoride out of the water.
Yep.
Well, that would actually be good because that's not good. But
I mean, yes, I'd be happy with that.
So
I'm still gonna laugh though if that's the libertarian that gets put in the cabinet.
Right. So, and anything else like you want to say, JD?
Nothing immediately comes to mind.
All right, Hody, we're doing closing statements, so you're free to give a closing statement.
I'm sorry I had to bolt on you guys. Had to do some dinner for my late working family members.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So I think an interesting angle to this, just from political stuff, is Harris was winning odds by about like 10% ish until her 60 Minutes appearance. And Trump almost actually blew this because of the comedian and the Puerto Rico joke.
Yeah.
And it's funny that politics is this fickle, right? That like we're so close. And the thing is most people aren't changing their votes. I don't want that to be misconstrued. Nobody's like, well, I guess I have seen some people change their vote to Harris because of like the comedian stuff. But basically what this is energy, right? Like if I'm a Democrat and I watch Harris on 60 Minutes, nightmare situation, right? Doesn't make me love Trump, but I'm certainly not going to waste my day showing up at a voting booth and clicking the button or punching the hole. In Florida's case, partially punching the hole, right? Anyway.
Yeah, well, Florida doesn't allow full penetration. It's considered immoral.
A lot of women left with hanging chads down there in Florida, from what I understand.
Yeah,
no wonder
absolutely.
It's gone full incel, right?
Yeah,
Anyway.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to Al Gore any women down there. They got diseases.
Right. So here's the thing, is like what I said earlier, a lot of people are going to be hurting and afraid tomorrow, and I think understand them. Do the best you can to be like, yeah, I get it. Like, let people know. A lot of people are going to take this election as a referendum on them. Now, we talk politics all the time, everybody here. And we're engaged, we're plugged in. Most people are not, right? Like, let's be frank here. People didn't know Joe Biden had like severe cognitive decline until the debate. All of us knew. All of us. I mean, it was not hidden, but most people didn't know because they pay attention to politics once every 4 years or so. And so they're like, we can say all these technicalities like, well, Trump is actually further left on trans issues than like some. Yeah, it's like, listen, your trans friends are probably getting scared right now. They're taking this on a referendum on them. Trump ran an anti-trans person ad, and America said, yeah, that's what we want. And they're going to take that as, do you love me? Do you care about me? Do you want me there? So really be there to catch them, help guide them through this, let them know that they're loved. Let them know, that you support them regardless of what the election turned out to be, and listen to their fears. I think it's looking like I'm going to get every single state correct. So if anybody has any questions, Arizona still looks like 50-50. If that goes Trump, then I am, I got every single one right. And I did post this beforehand, by the way, it is online. So I just want to say I am very plugged into these kind of things, and it's because I worked with the GOP for so long. I can kind of tell what's what and what's going to happen. I'm not saying I'm perfect every time. I do occasionally get one or two states wrong every election. I did last time. I did the time before that. I have gotten a perfect map before. But it's a matter of being plugged into people. And I think that libertarians would do well, even though we kind of look at these like elections. Oh, who cares? We want to like disengage with the ballot. But we actually need to engage with what people are doing. The number one rule of sales, right, is that you talk about what people are talking about. People are going to be talking about elections. People aren't going to be talking about Mises. People aren't going to be talking about like, 50-50. Free market, what's really free market capitalism, right? So, like, plug in with your neighbors, get in touch with them, love them, show them that you care. I really want to say Harris was as bad as it could get as a candidate. I mean, this is the first person bounced. The last time she had a primary, the Democrats were like, no, thank you. Uh-huh. You have no moral high ground when you send an innocent person to death row, even over a rapist. So a lot of people were like, oh, right, like there's like they're equivalent evils. We need to stop saying that. No, when you send an innocent person to death row, that's an equivalent evil to raping somebody. When you keep slaves to work in a system, when the state says they need to be released and you say, no, I'm going to keep these nonviolent offenders working for free in my prisons, you're a slaveholder. This affected thousands of people's lives. So when we talk about character and evils, Harris is worse than Trump. And I am talking about Trump I'm not blind here. Trump is a rapist. He breaks all his promises, whether it's personal or business or whatever it may be. The man has not had a plantation full of 1,000 people. Harris did. And so we need to understand that character mattered. And the Democrats knew it, and they didn't show up for her. Right? You didn't have you gave away one of the easiest high grounds ever, having the moral high ground over a rapist. And the Democrats gave it away. And I don't want to just say the Democrats as in the Democratic people. The DNC gave it away. They could have held primaries. They chose not to do it. And they chose Harris, literally the first person that the Democrats, now I'm using the term broadly, rejected during the primary. And they should have. I hadn't heard of her name until she ran for president. And I remember when I looked at the data, and like I did a background for the Weird Libertarians podcast network on everybody, and I couldn't believe this person was even like allowed in public and walking free. Like it's like we say politicians are evil, right? Like Gavin Newsom's evil, like bad guy. But we're talking like Sith Lord, like Emperor Palpatine hood over the head level of evil. Now, some people are going to hate Kamala Harris because she is a black and a woman. That's life. I understand that this is still America. We still have our history and our problems. And there is that kind of, I believe it's called the Bradley effect in play. Didn't work out for Obama. Maybe it's in play for Harris. I don't know. Right? We talk about hating people for the right reasons, right? We should not be hating Harris because she was a black woman. We need to be very specific in our criticisms of Harris, because when we make these criticisms, people a lot of times hear racist. And it's your job to make sure they know that's not true. You don't want, we might not want it to be our job. Libertarians, we don't want it to be our job. It's not my job to make you think that I'm a good person. It's not my job to tell you this. Yeah, it is. And if you want to win, if you want to convince people, yeah, it is. Prove it to them. Show them that you care, right? Walk every day as an anti-racist and people, or an anti-sexist, and people will never badger you about if your vote for whoever it was, or a non-vote for whoever it was done out of racism or sexism. It's a tough time. American politics is really divided. Obviously, it functionally as a country, we've never been this divided before. I know I'm aging myself here, but I still remember when, like, most Republicans and Democrats would just confirm whoever judicial person you selected, right? Like, that's, hey, it's your job. You get to select them. That time's gone, right? We're gone. It's way out of there. One last thing. Libertarians sold out for this. Sold out for Trump. History will remember this. History isn't going to remember me, the guys who stayed true. We saw what happened to the Libertarian votes this election. They disappeared from our candidate and they went into Trump. Your responsibility now. Everybody said, oh, what we need to do is vote Joe Biden and hold him accountable. I laughed and laughed at him because I said, you're not going to do it, but okay, go ahead and vote for Joe Biden, hold him accountable. They did it. They couldn't hold him accountable. And now we have the Libertarians. Hey, listen, let's vote for him. Let's hold him accountable. Let's vote for Trump. Hold him accountable. Make sure he knows. Good luck. It hasn't been done before. Speaking in defense of Trump, Pete Quinones was like, hey, this guy, he's the anti-regime guy. This guy could be the next Pinochet, the next Julius Caesar, the next Franco. These are fascists who crush liberty under their boots. This happens almost every time the Libertarians sold out. Twice in American history alone, the Libertarian Party is sold out to the GOP. Both of those times before, the people who orchestrated the sellout admit that they failed. Don't fail this time. Because we can't do this for another 30 years until we fail again and again and again and repeat this cycle. I'll be the happiest person alive if I am wrong. I want Trump to succeed in all those libertarian promises that he made. In all of them. And I hope that what the other thing libertarians said, oh, he's just kidding about executing the drug dealers and war with China and war with Iran and war with Gaza. He's not really going to do any of that stuff. He's just sounding tough. Well, you better be right. Because history doesn't differentiate between the people who sold out and thought they were right and the people who just sold out. We sold out, sold our soul. Worse, we sold the souls of other people who will be murdered by President Trump, who will be jailed by President Trump. We didn't gamble with our lives. We gambled with theirs. So you better be right, because that's a lot of innocent lives on the line. I hope that the liberty movement can recover. I doubt it will be with the Libertarian Party. I think this third and final sellout, I can't imagine doing it again. Rebuilding all this again over 30 years, after all that trust that we betrayed the last time we sold out to the GOP, only to do it again. I don't want to build another weapon to hand over to the duopoly. I want to build something else. I encourage you to listen to people who are on this channel, people like Jeremiah, that are organizing anarchists and libertarians of all walks of life and just say, hey, we're going to be part of something different, actual decentralized, actually looking for real solutions, actually being non-political in our solutions. We are the people who are very plugged into politics. And I've seen personally behind the curtain of the GOP. And I am sure that other people, I mean, heck, the DNC hasn't been quiet about their behind the curtain moments, right? These are corrupt organizations. There is no fixing them. If you believe you can fix them, you are wrong. I am happy to be wrong. I don't believe I will be. But yeah, anyhow, thanks for having me, guys. Sorry I had to dip out for a minute there, but that was really cool.
Okay.
Seeing y'all again tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Good night.
Well, my closing statement will be this, and I'll try to make it brief, because I talked a lot during this. We are about to have another President Trump term. When the last President Trump term happened, he did everything, basically, that libertarians are claiming is a disqualifying offense. I remember Jacob Hornberger, when he was giving coverage of the libertarian debates, he had this really good thing, because he said that one of the things that people like fucking absolute shitbag Clint Russell were doing was asking people about their vaccination status and saying that if they took the jab, they were disqualified. They said that this was a disqualifying offense to take the jab. If you were one of those people who said that, and you are now supporting the architect of the lockdowns, go fuck yourself. This man had Johnson & Johnson CEO on his stage, and you are sucking his cock. You are sucking his Johnson. Right here, right now, in front of everybody. Motherfucker. Additionally, you claim you don't like pedophiles. You say that you don't like, Jeff Epstein. You connect him to the deep state. And you say that anybody who was on the flight log should be prosecuted or wood chippered or whatever. Apparently not fucking this one. And you say you support freedom. And you support the idea of free speech. Trump has literally censored journalists. He is working with a man, Elon Musk, who has complied with 83% of censorship requests by authoritarian governments, and he wants to give that guy a position in his government. You are supporting a man, after all this talk of anti-war, who genocided hundreds of thousands of people in Yemen, who supports the genocide in Israel, who backs a significant amount of death in South America from regime change policies, including fucking with Venezuela. You support this man. You say you're a Christian, yet this man talks in a way that is completely anti-Christian, even sexually objectifying his own fucking daughter. This man wants to grab people by the pussy, and that is anti-Christian, but it's your pussy he grabbed, clearly. So let's be super clear here that when I'm talking about Trump, I'm talking about a fascist authoritarian. Project 2025 is real. Those are his advisors. Those are the people he surrounded himself with. Those are the people he gave cred. And all of the same people are coming back to the front. He said he wanted to make his cabinet more libertarian, and everybody got amnesia because he flashed Ron Paul at people like a neuralizer. Shout out to Jason Bassler, the Free Thought Project, for that analogy. And they suddenly forgot all of the shit that he did. They forgot the bump stock ban. They forgot take the guns first, due process later. They forgot all of his things that he said in support of LGBT people when they want to blame the gays and the trans for all of their fucking problems now. They, support this utterly and abjectly morally bankrupt person, and they claim that this is what it means to be libertarian. Go fuck yourself. If we're going to have a better future, we need to understand that there are certain people who only say things that they think will get them popular support. They only say things because they think it'll get them a position on Timcast, Jocelyn. Or they think it will, support some sort of, like, short-term agenda that they're doing with people like Scott Ritter, Jimmy Dore. And when they have these mentalities, they will always sell out because they are here for whatever short-term bullshit they need to do to get your support and put you on a leash. So if you want to not be a dog for these people, if you want to be like the person you could be and seize your liberty for what it could be, which is complete without any of these compromises, you need to shut the fuck up and actually learn from these mistakes rather than being like Angela McArdle, Mike Rechtenwald, and a ton of the other people in the Mises Caucus who are choosing, instead of learning from things, to actively double down and claim they did nothing wrong. Fuck you, everyone does something wrong. Learn from your mistakes or you will repeat them, and you'll never have power. Just your dumb fuck relevance that you can use to sell books, podcasts, and courses. This isn't how we win liberty. This is how a few grifters can pull our movement into a constant state of irrelevance while constantly claiming that it's more relevant than ever. And more people will die, and more people will be oppressed, and it doesn't actually matter because these people aren't in it for you. They're in it to sell shit, and they don't mind putting you on their slave boat to sell you right along with everything else. So understand that. Understand the stakes here. Understand that this is where we're headed. And that we will never, ever stop this until we are willing to course correct, understand our own flaws, and try to do better. Because it is us that we need to change, not the left, not them, not the other person. You change you first, you fix your own shit so that you can have a clean house that you can show off when you're telling everybody about how bad those other houses are. Or you are just as bad as everybody else and you have no business trying to claim you're smashing the fucking state.